so everything is working, his brain function, his organs and all that, but then left holes in his body. Right? So it could be a witness that it tells you that he was seen by the disciples and amongst certain brothers, I believe. Right? But he was still able to keep his spirit in his body with mortal wounds, literally mortal wounds in his body. That's not normal. All right? So he actually died, because if any of us had mortal wounds, we would drop fucking dead. Yahushua had mortal wounds, meaning death. Death, mortal means death. All right? Death wounds in his body, but he was able to function normally. All right?
Also, it's noted that, you know, a lot of these, you know, believers in hell and heaven, you know, they basically say that, you know, if you break commandments, you go to hell. If you follow the commandments, you go to heaven, right? It's basically that, in a nutshell, that's cut and dry. You know, and then you want to go into Roman Catholicism, believe, you know, you got purgatory and all that. But for the core, right? If you follow the commandments, you're going to go to heaven, and if you break the commandments, you're going to go to hell, right? But nowhere in the scriptures does it say anything about that. Scriptures actually say when you follow the commandments that it just gives you long life.
Or suicide either.
Yeah,
like you go to hell automatically.
Oh yep. Or they'll say, you know, it basically not following the commandments leads to death. It doesn't say anything about leading you to hell.
Can't repent.
Basically, the outcome of not following the commandments is death, sha'awah. The outcome of following the commandments is life. You know. Right. So, you know, it's kind of they
kind of mix the surface level of what it actually is.
Yeah, because if that's the case, then all of our forefathers right now that were led into the land of Israel are in hell right now, all of them, every single one of them, because they all went off, right?
Oh, you saw ancestors too. The founding fathers.
Yep.
They enslaved people.
Exactly. So they're all in hell too. Everybody basically in hell. All the Noah, all the people other than Noah, and you know, they're all in hell.
Yeah.
All of them in hell.
All the nations.
The only ones that weren't in hell were the progenitor of Noah, but they all went off too, right? So I guess they're all in hell.
In hell too, yeah.
So who really is in heaven then? Because a lot of people in the scriptures went off, right, and broke the commandments, which you say that if you break the commandments, you go to hell. And now really the only time that we were given that grace was when Yahushua came. A lot of the Christian church believe that. So basically everybody in hell, except for now that when Yahushua came back, now we had that opportunity to accept Jesus Christ.
So they missed the boat.
Yeah.
The salvation boat.
Yep.
Because they were born out of time. They were anachronism, so to speak.
There's no explanation. You can't explain. Yeah, there's no explanation for that.
Yeah, so they were born out of time, so they missed the salvation blood, the universal salvation, right? Don't it say the universal salvation in the Bible? And I heard Brother Malcolm saying something about it's no such under elect. Somebody find that under elect. I think I heard him bring it out a couple times. I'm not sure if it's in there. The universal salvation is not in the Bible or referred to in the scriptures. Yeah, so they missed the boat. Elect. I think it was elect. Elect or election. Universal salvation is not in the scriptures. Right? And Esau actually believed that those are myths. Get the old Jewish fable. So we brought out and broke down hell. Yeah. Don't go back to that. Those old Jewish fable.
And I know this is going to go over a lot of people's head, but even if there was a heaven and hell, it would only be for Israel then.
Right.
Because remember, the laws and all that, repentance and all that is only given to Israel.
All Israel shall be saved.
Yeah, so basically, at the end of the day, all the nations would go straight to so-called hell anyway.
Earth core would be
exactly. And the only ones that could really go into the actual heaven, right? The mythical heaven would be would be Jake, because the only ones that can see get redemption and forgiveness of sins is Israel.
Right.
But that would be even deeper into the doctrine if they don't want to go into it.
Right.
Real quick, I have the word hell in the etymology. When you scroll down, it says used in the KJV for Old Testament Hebrew Sha'awal and New Testament Greek Hades or Gehenna. It said used figuratively for state of misery, any bad experience, at least since late 14th century. So
they believe in eternal state of misery.
Right.
Like forever, beyond 1,000 years, beyond 10,000 years, beyond 100 billion years, you're gonna be burning forever, ever. Like Israel's gonna be ruling forever and ever. You'll be burning forever and ever. That's their breakdown on misery. So they extended from the simple definition of general like misery, slavery for a time period, to like eternity beyond incalculable number. You saw the devil that the Bible speaks of.
That's why it says that one, basically add on to the word, the Lord's gonna deal with you. But yeah, I found for election it says, election. It says when election refers to salvation, its objects are individual men. The concept of universal election is foreign to scriptures.
Yeah, so in other words, the Most High chose the elect.
Yeah.
He did not choose the Edomites. That's a simple fact. He chose the elect. He did not choose the Edomites. He did not choose the other nations. So individually, the Most High ordained Yahushua to gather his elect through his spirit. Right? And they're all 100% Israelites. You want to say something?
The word elect itself, eklektos from the Greek, literally means hand chosen of the Most High to receive salvation. Literally what the word elect means.
Yeah. So individual, so it's not a blanket thing. You just go out and say, well, he chose everybody.
The elect is not like an umbrella. Elect is everybody who believes. No, the elect is very specific. That's who it applies to contextually, which is the Israelites. Because you have what the book of Romans tells you, that you got the Israel of the Most High. Or you got Israel, but then you have the Israel of the Most High. The Israel of the Most High are the ones that have been called, elected, and faithful. You got to have all three of them components. And that's recorded in the book of Revelation, the 17th chapter. Those that were with Yahushua was called, chosen, and faithful. That's the elect. Can only be Israelites. That's all I wanted to say.
Quick one too.
Yeah. And then it even says, rather particular election only is taught. And then it gives you, they give precepts out of the New Testament,
Pretty soon they're not gonna come.
First response.
Yeah. Shit, we heard about Chicago,
You could,
you know.
Try to place that in the fire. They have me placed.
I do smell something though.
Yeah, I smell something right now.
Yeah.
You want move it out the tree?
Yeah, I mean, whatever it picks up, it's
At
fine.
least it's going down there.
Yeah, you don't got to go to the full extent. Bring it back.
Shit, depending on put on
Fires
mask.
on the scene.
But yeah.
Firemen's on the scene responding to an emergency.
But yeah, it said
Smells like judgment.
Exactly.
Looking for a hydrant too, maybe? That's what they do.
Yeah. It said rather a particular election only is taught. And then they continue to give New Testament scriptures. Matthew 22 and 14, Romans 8 and 9. You know what I'm saying?
It's a process.
So they're even telling you that,
Kitchen fire, maybe.
election is only referring to certain people.
Yeah, I got a preset for it. Are you ready?
Oh.
If you're finished, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the nation of Israel is the nation that needs salvation inward. Go ahead.
Other nations don't need what they live in. They in heaven right now.
Yeah, well, that's one thing I was going to add on, to waiting for the right time of the Spirit to say that heaven and hell themselves can be conditions played out on earth.
Exactly. Yeah, I got a preset for that.
Oh,
too.
okay.
I got Matthew. Yeah. All right. So
Spirit permitting,
yeah, it's locked.
y'all got it.
Yep. This is Isaiah chapter 45 and verse 4. Got the chief out and shit. White shirts out. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
It says, for Jacob, Yaquab, my servant's sake, Israel, mine elect. Right? Yeah, that smells like that's some serious. For Jacob, my servant's sake, and Israel, mine elect, I have even called thee by the name, by thy name, and I have surnamed thee, though thou hast not known me.
Yeah, bring it.
Yeah.
Damn.
They don't give a fuck. They gonna
Okay,
break
I
all
don't know.
that.
This is.
Bruh, they gotta come here.
got two,
Like,
yeah.
damn.
This is gonna be a complete carnal. But you ever see the all that shit? Randy Clinch volunteer fireman where they do with fucking busting the fucking people's houses and shit.
Bro, hey, man, that shows you, man, Saints out here. Look, right, it happened right here at our location.
Hey, that's we're gonna move a little further up like that third. That's that spirit of the fire, man. Hey, the scripture say about how our mouth proceedeth out of us is like fire, right? And if people would.
We got the ladder. Got the ladders out.
It's gonna move up.
All right, so here, somebody grab.
We were trying to act like you're trying to fight the damn California fire.
It must be that shit.
Oh, shit.
Hey, Storm.
You got that?
It's Slack, Yakim. Just bear with us. If you're on the stream, just bear with us.
Technical difficulties. My ear difficulties.
Alright, the one up.
And then watch it. There's some
At first, I thought they was here for Brother Amathara. I thought they was here for you, P. Yes, sir.
This is alluding to you. Smoking them out spiritually.
On the fire on it.
not me.
All right, brothers, go.
Yes, I'm going back.
No.
Isaiah chapter 45, verse 4. And it says, "For Jacob my servant's sake, and for mine elect."
Yeah, that's right.
Can't hear it.
Know that,
It's like a little
elect
bit.
is on Israel. The elect is only, for one nation.
Yeah,
Right,
I
which is
mean,
Israel,
we'll-
which is the elect, which is in Israel, which is the elect, which is the remnant. All right, that the Lord is looking to save.
It says, in Israel mine elect, I have called thee by thy name.
Call people by thy name. All right, Israel. All right. So hey, that's how you know. That's how you know the Lord is the one nation. You understand?
I just want you to just bear hands, all right?
God. These are the nations called by the Lord, Yahshua, all right? At all, okay? And even going on, it says, "And I have surnamed thee, thou hast not known me, as though thou hast not known me." You have, of course, Israelites, which we all went out of the way of the Lord, and of course, coming out of the way of the Lord had us in a Gentile state of mind, and as heathen and such. No, but the Lord actually is well familiar with us. He never dealt so with any other nation. All right, so the other families, these other nations, they're not linked with the Lord, Yakalba Page. They're not linked to Israel or salvation. All that is pertaining only to so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and the Israelite foreigners that have been scattered, all right, across the four winds, all right? They're actually Israelites that actually are in the nations. They're not the actual natural Gentiles and such, as people would think, all right? That's what Esau wants. He wants the other nations to be, grafted in and such, even though he's not part of this tree, all right? He's foreign, strange, kind, slop.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the one scripture. It's in Romans. I don't know if it's like Romans 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, Romans
like
9, promises.
Go ahead.
Yeah, who the Lord, gave the promises, the adoption to.
Yep, the son, yeah.
Yeah, that's
oh,
Romans
yeah,
9.
sorry.
Go ahead. Does that bring one?
Go ahead.
Psalms 147 and 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye Yahweh Bashim Yahushua.
That's,
Right.
Yeah. So the Lord was only dealing with one nation. All right. He wasn't dealing with any other nation as he was dealing with Israel. All right. Plenty of times, throughout the Bible. All right. The Lord calls Israel his own people. All right. His people. All right. Because the Lord is only dealing with him. The covenants. All right. The adoption. All right. The promises. All right, were given to the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which that's a specific bloodline, a specific nation of people that the Lord is dealing with. All right. So did you have that Romans, brother?
Yeah. This Romans 9 and 3, for I could wish that myself were accursed from a Mashiach, from my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh.
Yeah, kinsmen according to the flesh. So you have to, share the bloodline of the Lord, all right?
Right. Kin mean what? Family.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Going into your kindred.
Yep.
Right? So,
Yeah, the Book of the Romans weren't Book of the Romans weren't written to Caucasian Edomites, Caucasians that were in Rome. It was just not.
Yep.
It wasn't. It was written to Israelites that were in Rome, and that's all the books.
Yes.
That Paul and Peter and whatever disciple wrote scriptures. Right?
The Israelites that were in Ephesus, the Israelites that were in Colossus.
It's simple. They try to do that universal salvation.
The Israelites that were in Corinth.
Yep.
Seven churches in Asia Minor. All Israel scattered amongst the heathen.
So it says, verse 4, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory and the covenants and the giving of the law and the service of the Most High and the promises.
That's right. So the Lord gave us these things. The Lord gave us the law. He gave us the commandments. He gave us the covenants, the adoption.
Yeah.
All right. He gave us, the promises. All right.
Yeah. And it said the service of the Lord, it said the service of the Most High, you know what I'm saying? The Lord gave his only, his elect, to basically for the ministry. He didn't give it to these other nations. You see how these other nations have, their churches trying to open up the scriptures. No, it wasn't for you. It was meant for us to do that. You know what I'm saying? That's why the Lord got his men, teaching out here on the highways of the Bible with the true doctrine. You know what I'm saying? You got these other, you got these other quote unquote teachers, who basically give you false doctrines and lies.
Yep.
yeah,
Is there any more on that?
Yeah. It says, verse 5, whose are the fathers, and of whom, as concerning the flesh, Hamashiach came, who is over all, the Most High blessed forever.
It's amazing.
Amen.
That's it.
Yeah. So that's it. The Lord is dealing with one nation. There's plenty of scriptures that cut, the Lord is dealing with all nations doctrine or madness. All right, it's plenty of scriptures.
Quick precept to land back off of that Romans 9. This is the book of 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9. I'm going to read it in the KJV, and then I'm going to read it in the ESV, English Standard Version, okay? 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9, it says, but ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and a holy nation, a peculiar people, that ye should show forth the praises of him. And this is an example of showing forth the praises through the ministry, right? When brothers open up the show, they start with call halayim la, call meaning all, halayim meaning praises, la to our power, beginning with Yahweh, which is the Most High, wa and Yahweh Shai, the only begotten Son that sitteth at the right hand. That's how brothers open their show. That's how brothers conclude the show. And then the whole lesson in between is the praises of the Most High. The fact that he bringing back the nation of Israel, that the kingdom is being established, beginning with his men, the prophets. All right? And everything in between, every topic that there is to cover is an example of the praises of the Heavenly Father. Right? When we talk about servitude and slavery and captivity coming to the other nations, that's a praise of the Most High. Y'all were one chapter away, 2 chapters away at most from reading about the high praises of the Most High, right? That the saints, we be gladful and joyful. Why are they going to be glad and joyful? For executing the judgments written with a 2-edged sword in their hand. So that's an example of the high praises, right? So it says of him who had called you out of darkness, darkness representing our blindness to the understanding of what the truth is. All right? Being laden with sin, not understanding that we have to rehearse the righteous acts, keep the law, building a connection with Yahweh Shai. If you don't have those things, you lack those things, you're in outer darkness. If you don't have understanding of prophecy, you're in outer darkness. It says, hath called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. Right, marvelous light. So we've been awakened to the truth. Now I'm going to read it, 1 Peter chapter 2 and 9 in the ESV. Just in case there's any confusion as to what we just read. It tells you quite plainly. All right, now if you're already familiar with the terminology of the KJV, which most of us are, right, then you already know what we read. But here it is in the ESV. But ye are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for his own possession. And that's reinforced by Exodus 4 and 22. What was it told to Pharaoh? Israel is my firstborn. Right? And the rights of the firstborn didn't come by the law, even though there's a law in the firstborn. It came by promise first. So before the foundation of the world was made, Yahweh had set up in the heavens that the Israelites were going to be established forever in the kingdom forever, okay, after the nations ruled. Okay? It was going to be given into their hand, and they were going to be joint heirs with Yahweh Shai. And once Yahweh Shai came to subdue all the dominions on the earth, that kingdom was going to be forevermore. That's only been given to one rulership, perpetual, let me say it like this, perpetual rulership has been only given to one race of people, and that's the Israelites. Okay? Beginning with Judah all the way down, all right? The two primary tribes is Judah and Ephraim, right? Those are the main two, beginning with Judah, was raised up first to bring in the rest of the nation. And what you see is an example of the breaches being closed up. All right? So that's the priesthood for the nation of Israel. Okay? For Israel, by Israel. A holy nation, a people for his own possession, right? We are a possession of the Heavenly Father. That ye may proclaim the excellencies of him who called you out of outer darkness into his marvelous light. So that's all I wanted to get. We are the elect. The nation of Israel is that chosen line, the chosen race in which the Lord put his name, all right, in which will inherit the promises, the kingdom, the service of the law, all right, the ministry, just like y'all read.
Yep.
Just like y'all read.
Yeah, that's right. You know, and they also say, you know, we're holy or peculiar. Holy meaning separate.
Yep.
All right. So, you know, we're separate from these different nations. You know, even Jake, you know, amongst other nations, he may look like a different nation, but you could tell that's a Jake. All right, because you know we carry ourselves differently than these other nations.
Right.
All right. So, if a brother had another one, another precept.
Well, we got a lot.
Yeah, holy.
We got back to that condition of hell, going into that in heaven.
Yep.
That point, but
Isaiah 14 verse 16. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms?
Yeah, read it again, huh?
Isaiah 14 verse 16. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms?
yeah, and it said this is the man, right? And this is referring to what? Lucifer, which is a tribute to Esau Edom, that light bearer and such. This is the man, all right, that of course what? Shaketh kingdoms and stuff. You know, of course, went out, what? As they got the, of course, the dominion, all right, and subdued, of course, the earth and such, all right, and destroyed it, took, of course, the substance, the wealth, all right, and you have, of course, they even captured, you know, the minds of the people, have them worshiping that their system, you know, the whole Roman system and such. But this is a future prophecy. We're going to see Esau being brought down completely when Yahushua comes back.
Yeah, it's real quick. That's why you have BRICS as a response to the global hegemon that the U.S. or stronghold that the U.S. has on the global markets, militarily and financially, economically. See, now the main 5 nations in BRICS is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Now you have a lot of nations applying to join them. Two primary nations is Iran and Venezuela. And when Iran put their application in to submit to the BRICS nations, they were happy to overlook their credentials. They're like, man, that'll be an asset, right? And that BRICS was set up, okay, in June of 2009 as a response against the U.S. global hegemony, meaning the United States, okay, they're the head through Esau, Edom, Japan, and their Western European allies. Because remember, the beast system is what's ruling the earth through the Edomite. You mentioned the influence. That's their image.
Yeah.
Okay, the power comes through their military and their economic might. The ability to sanction nations, and tariff them, and regulate the economy. So they're like, hold on, if we cut them out and we trade amongst ourselves, then we have an advantage. So I just wanted to throw that in. That's you got to know that. You know? So strategically, the BRICS nations were set up as an economic and military response because they're providing aid, right?
Yeah.
Militarily and so on, economically as well. Trading amongst themselves.
Yep.
Oh, one thing, that's what I wanted to say. The water, those nations that I mentioned, the 5 primary ones, make up 40% of the global population.
That's a lot.
Right. And I think over 4 trillion combined of GDP amongst them. So it's a significant amount, between 40 and 45% of the global U.S. population. So significant. You know?
Yep.
But go ahead, brother.
Yeah, that BRICS, you know, they pretty much they brought together like to help like develop emerging market economies, and such, promote peace and security, right? Development of corporation, and we seeing how, you know, a lot of deals are being made, you know, of course, economically and stuff that put a lot of these different nations above, you know, where, you know, in times past they would be sanctioned and hit.
That's right.
Then they'll, like I said, they
right, because you're trying to operate outside of
they circumvent
again,
that
the U.S.
dollar.
global hegemon.
Yeah.
Remember, the U.S. is regulating everything for the most part. They got their hand in things. So they're trying to circumvent that.
Yeah.
Because remember, Esau all about control. You don't want these nations to function without his say-so.
Yep.
You know, he don't allow that liberty. Like the brother said, that's why they'll come, they'll sanction you, they'll, you know, perform a military operation, right? They'll go and they'll agitate the people with democracy. Look at the way you being treated. There's better, you know, policies that could be passed to help. But remember, there's always an ulterior motive. That's why these nations are mad, because you're all in their affairs.
Yeah, weaken them.
And the first thing, like the brother said earlier, the first thing that gets attacked is the mind. That's why they go and they have these smear campaigns. What this country doing, what that country doing. Right, and then, never mind you, what Esau over here in America is doing to its own citizens. All right? You know, you got degraded infrastructure, right? But you're sending billions of dollars overseas. And what do you tell the American populace? Well, we'll see if we can fit it into one of these bills at some point. While they're still consuming poison, you know, polluted water systems, whether it be Flint, Michigan, or Mississippi.
Inflation.
Right, they can't do anything for the inflation. It's all Russia's fault. But we have plenty of billions of dollars to go and send to Ukraine in an effort of war. So, State of Israel. Yes.
Others,
Plenty, yeah. So,
Got another. Well, go ahead.
Yeah,
You got that fact.
they know America gonna be destroyed.
Right. That's right.
No, bring that back out.
That's
I'll
right.
just envision that.
Yeah, that's the Great Horde. America.
Somebody sent a post to the chat. USA to Ukraine, here's 8 billion. We know it's way more than that.
Yeah, that's sent that out.
USA to Israel, here's 3.3 billion. We know it's more than that.
Right.
USA to Taiwan, here's 1 billion. USA to Mississippi, don't drink the water.
Right.
That's that
They know
perpetual
America-
hatred.
Yeah, they know America's gonna be destroyed. They're not investing in themselves.
Right.
So if they're not investing in themselves, then that means they don't give a shit, and they deny to the grave.
that impacts more Jake than anyone. So like you were getting the same thing, perpetual hatred towards Israel.
They don't give a damn. Remember, there is an agenda at work as we speak, where Esau is continuing to try to cut off the nation from their power. Okay, you can read about that in the book of Psalms, the 2nd chapter. You can read about that in the book of Psalms 83. All right.
That's a defect if you're not
You got one or no?
Yeah.
I got one.
Right.
like if you invest in yourself, that means you're trying to make sure you can stay on the path that you're going, staying forward. Like if you like drive a lot, you're gonna make sure you got your oil changes and all that done, or if it breaks down, you're gonna know. Sometimes things might break down, do you repair it? Other times you'll do preventative maintenance because you know you gotta stay on the road. You gotta constantly put gas in your car.
Right.
Right? But Esau, he not like doing preventative maintenance. When shit break, he just leaving it alone. You know, thousands of people have died. They don't care because the company is about to be defunct in a certain time period. So he pretty much investing in the war machine so they can fight those wars.
There's a prophecy. Reach your plowshares and pruning hooks into swords and spears.
And America took that to the fullest extent. That's why they opt out of certain programs to help the infrastructure. That's why the infrastructure continues to degrade. You know, they want to do a patch job to something that needs to be redone altogether. It's notoriously known at this point that the roadways here in America
half a century old.
are absolute garbage.
Yeah.
One of the worst for what is supposed to be a so-called first world nation.
Yeah, they really gave a shit, you know. Like the high schools be equipped with
What is-
books and computers and training, you know.
Right.
Beyond, you know, the education, whatever, you know, that education system is used to control you anyway.
Joel?
Yeah, even
Because
They don't give a shit.
what we just said about what they told
Mississippians about the water supply is direct evidence of this prophecy that we're getting ready to read in Joel. Because if they had any care, then they wouldn't be considered. We're sending billions to Ukraine. That's war. So they're literally doing exactly what the scriptures say. Billions.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah. Instead of investing in the agriculture, okay, which is a part of your infrastructure. Right? What are they doing with all these meat packing supplies burning down? Which we all know is, you know, by design. They doing that purposely. But remember, that's a takeover of the food supply anyways. That's economic terrorism right there.
yeah, if I could add like
But anyway,
yeah, if I could
go
add
ahead.
like some of the things that like Esau says that he does to help the environment and stuff, like take for example, right, everything was brown bagged, right, everything was brown paper bag. And what did Esau do? He said, let's go to plastic because brown bags are hurting the earth, right, killing too many trees. So then we do all this plastic shit. Now we're going back, full circle, back to you can't get bags no more, and all these shopping centers now have brown bags. So what is it then? You know,
Well,
Esau destroying the earth either which way. The whole reason why we went to plastics is that we were apparently destroying the earth. Now we're going to paper. One more other thing is like, you know, California wants to go fully electric, and now the grid fucking
Can't
locked.
even hold it.
Yeah, the grid locked.
well, there was an announcement made, 4 days ago?
Don't charge for the weekend. over
They
the
said that
holiday
they
weekend.
averted a lot of blackouts, but there still were temporary power outages just from the excessive heat waves that they were having. Let alone, well, that's part of the strain on on the declining infrastructure is the heat waves.
California has always had that problem.
Right,
Since their population got to a certain point anyway.
right.
So they introducing the alternative, electric cars and all that. It's like, what are they doing? That should be right along with the gasoline internal combustion engine ban. That should be right along with upgrading the infrastructure. If you're going to bring that plan out, you got to bring out the same plan right alongside of it that you're going to build another nuclear power plant or 5 nuclear power plants or burn more coal or something. Well, I guess that defeats the purpose of electric. But then it's not even clean from the source anyway.
Exactly.
To actually generate the electricity.
They gave Californians less than 10 years to transition fully into electric because they said that their
banning by 2030
Yeah, something like that. Yep.
all sales of gasoline-powered vehicles.
But then over the weekend they wouldn't even allow schools to turn on the AC because the fucking grid was damn locked. You know, and they were like a level 3 fucking.
So this is evidence. What we're all going into, brothers, is evidence of Joel 3. They're not investing in the infrastructure because they're investing in war. They know war is afoot. So that's where the money's going. Whether it's in their own military technology and weapons or in allies, they're all gearing up for war.
Yeah, and ban gasoline. They can't ban internal combustion engines.
Yep.
Because
Right. Well, they said sales.
generators run on diesel. Yeah, they mean like
Gas
car,
powered.
automobiles or
Yeah,
whatever.
that's what I said. But you know what? Hey, the devil gonna do whatever the hell he wants to do anyways. Because if it's operating outside of the mischief he's perpetuating, you know. Because remember, under executive orders, this man really got the right to do whatever he wants. You know. He already considers people who live off grid as a domestic terrorist, anyways.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty of stories, there's plenty of accounts where people made the attempt to go off grid and didn't want the services provided by the state, and they've given them problems, harassed them.
Via his policies.
Right. Yep.
Want that, Joel?
Baba Kusha.
Joel 3 verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near.
And we'll go back to
Let them
Isaiah,
come
brother.
up.
Yep.
Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong.
Right now, the purpose of bringing this scripture out is because it's telling you that there's going to come a time where they're going to stop investing in their agriculture. All right, but by extension of that, they're not investing in the rest of the parts of their infrastructure either. The roadways, the schools, the grid. All right. They're not doing anything to replace these meat packaging plants that are mysteriously burning down to the ground. No, what are they telling you? Oh, well, this is a sign and example of why we need alternative food sources. And what do they mean by that? Things that they grow in the lab.
Beyond meats.
Right, beyond meats. Impossible meats. Which is just another form of a takeover and control that Esau's trying to institute over the earth. You want food, you want resources, you got to come through us to get it. You can't work independently of our system.
That's crazy.
It's basically starving the people out. You know?
Laboratories growing meats too.
Okay.
When you mentioned it.
Con, is there something to extrapolate out of that?
I mean, I was looking at an article and they explained how it's made. Supposedly how it's made and how it's made from like cells, I believe, like certain cells that they get from certain animals.
Right.
And they grow them in the lab. I didn't read the whole article.
Right.
I just kind
You want to just source it? Tell what you're reading from, a website, or what the name of the article is?
It would be science focused, and the title of this source would be, "What is lab grown meat?
What is lab grown meat?
How is it made? Environmental impact and more." That
Come.
would be the title.
Hey, so brothers, go check it out. You know?
And it was it's recent, about 3 months.
Come. Yeah, so that's the direction that Esau's heading. It all boils down to the Revelation 13 prophecy. Okay? That's where it all boils down to. Right? You control the food, you can control the people. Right? If you build the idea that there's a lack of food, there's supply shortages, which there is, but it's being manufactured, what is it called? Hysteria. Oh my God, what are we gonna do? Right? They're creating and designing the crises. So that way, when the people seek a solution, they go to the enemy. They're gonna go to the enemy. Right? Because they're dependent on the services so-called provided by their government. Not knowing that it's gonna be attached to something divisive, something destructive, something deadly, right? Which is the C-hip, the MOTB, Because if you take that, you're going to receive the judgment from the Almighty through his son, which is that fire, them thermonuclear missiles. All right, this is why you need to have faith, and faith in the right doctrine. All right, faith in the right powers. If you're an Israelite, okay, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as well as you speckled bird Israelites, man. So that was it on that. That's the spirit. That's the atmosphere right now. All nations are pretty much investing in their military to one degree or another. Okay? Especially here in America. That's a large part of their budget. All right? And that's all according to prophecy. Again, because war is looming. War is afoot. And at the same time, there's advances for the MOTB. Now, I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I know that Brother Amouan Gabar did a video the other day about the C-hip being in mainstream news. You got the Edomite that had those couple of chips in his body, one for unlocking his car, right, the other for his home, something to that effect. And he said that eventually they'll have the ability to link with his account, which we all know that, but the fact that they're putting it in the local news is evidence that they're one step closer to making it mandatory. Because remember, it's going to start at a local level, right? They're going to get as many people to get comfortable with it, sell it on the convenience aspect to reach as many people as possible before making it law. So,
Yeah, I said local news. I'm not sure if it means like city news or whatever, township news. Normally, when they would display the information, it would be on like a CNN or Good Morning America or something like that.
Right.
I don't think you consider that local. That's like more like cable. But if they doing it on your local, like city news, that's more of a bigger implication. That is getting more, because you don't even have to have cable to watch it. I mean, so that's more that.
Right,
It's becoming more popular.
Local in Sussex County.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
they've
don't know
always,
the actual
yeah,
news station,
yeah.
but
But they've always. What I'm saying is they've always, every year they'll announce about the chip. They'll bring it out about the chip on like a CNN or something like that, or good or NBC, that they'll talk about the chip, but subtly. Yeah, it seems like they
all these local
doing it
news
more.
stations
Yeah.
are all subsidies of these larger
Oh, yeah,
production. NBC News, ABC.
Yeah, they've been announcing it since I guess the elders were brought it out before that. You know.
I forget what news station it was, but they were one of the first ones. It was a local station
Right.
that brought out.
if you could micro CHIPPED your children, would you do it? And they were interviewing a bunch of women, right? And this is right around the time, I believe, Bill Burr did his comedy skit about the Duracell battery, right, where he said, and what the hell was in Johnny that he knew to come out of the woods when his mother pushed a button? It was basically a receiver. What was in Johnny, right? Right. Command switch or a receiver to receive that signal. But anyway, yeah, they ran that commercial where they were selling the idea, hey, you don't ever have to worry about losing your children in public or them running off, because with this device, it would make them easily trackable, traceable, and in an emergency, things come down to seconds, right? So they've put that idea, and of course they went to the weaker vessel, and she's all, I don't know if there was at least one woman that said, nah, I don't really feel comfortable with that. There may have been one, but there may not have been. My memory don't recollect all the intimate details.
They were basically, if it protects my children,
But
yeah,
but the overwhelming majority, which goes to show you that these women are more better than death, because they're inclining onto the enemy, onto the serpent, onto the devil, right? The serpent all in her ear, talking about, hey, if you want to protect your children, instead of being more responsible and having trust and faith in Yahweh Shem Yahushai and follow the orders. If you have a man, follow under his dominion. It's put this device in them, and you won't ever have to worry about losing your child or going missing ever again.
A couple years ago, I think it was Good Morning, whatever Michael Strahan's on, he said he ain't gonna take it. Yeah. Cause he did the when it came up, I believe like 2 years ago, whatever. I did a video and I re-uploaded it. I re-uploaded it again. And Michael Strahan said, he said, well, would you think the lady Edomite was like, would you consider doing that? Michael Strahan was like, no, like that, like nervously. So, if he want to keep his money, and keep his status, when they implement it, he's going to take it. If not, then he gonna be in the fucking internment camp or killed, just like the rest of us are subject to.
Right.
So, no matter if you're famous or you got money or clout or whatever, if Michael Strahan don't take it, he's gonna lose his way of life. And most Jakes that have a decent lifestyle are not willing to give that up.
Right.
You know, to resist. And remember, certain people don't have the ability to think a certain way, so they don't have like certain morals, whatever. They don't have the ability to think, well, why would someone do something this evil? Some people actually don't have the mental capacity to actually think like that. Some people, you can call that stupid or narrow-minded or whatever label you want to call it, but some people don't have the mental capacity to think in certain ways. This is why a lot of people don't have faith, because faith is you can't really prove why you believe something. Like, I don't know, I can say that Yahweh gave me grace, but I can't really like prove like exactly why did he do this particularly for me, because I don't think I'm worth. So that concept is most people can't understand about how like faith, the concept of faith. Most people can't understand that concept. This is why the Jake came up on the bike and said shalom.
Yeah, shalom.
And you know, he was there for a couple seconds. I guess he wanted us to acknowledge him or whatever. We don't really
like,
do that.
Oh yeah.
Other brothers might do that, but we don't really acknowledge people.
Yeah,
when they pull up, we don't really acknowledge people because we know, especially in this city, everywhere really, people are pretty much full of shit, and we don't really want to entertain them. Some brothers they do, and somebody come up there, have to question them and all that, and be engaging with them, but we don't really do that here. You know, certain settings we might do that.
All depends on the spirit.
Yeah, at the time, you know. But we know most people are full of shit. You know,
Jake
so.
deals with low self-esteem anyway. So Jake always trying to find approval. Want to be a part of something. But they all doing it for the wrong reasons. You know, their intentions are not in order, in a right order.
Yeah, if you come up, then you gotta stand there and expect to be catered to and taken care of.
So you know how to say shalom.
Yeah, shalom. He says, but shalom. Yeah, he says shalom.
Yeah, shalom ain't gonna get you delivered, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, real talk, you gotta be involved, man. You really gotta be involved. You can't be on the sidelines.
Yeah, you gotta ask questions.
It's an active pursuit. When you come into the grace, it's an active pursuit to stay on the good side of the Lord, man. Excuse me. Yahweh Shemi Al Shai, yeah.
Instead of just being around.
Right.
A lot of Jakes want to work. They just want to be around.
Be
Hang around. They don't actually want to work. There's a difference between working and being a part of a club. You know, you actually got to put you got to attend. You got to have the actual acts, the task or whatever of the club. You know, which is being acknowledging and acting on your faith. Get Daniel 2:24. We still on topic, but get that real quick. Daniel 2:44.
Yeah. Something that you said, I just wanted to land back off of you. There's always going to be this perpetual opposition until the Lord comes back. Because you said that, we have definitive proof that we believe in, which is the scriptures. That's what we're bound by. The rest of the world don't understand how the things that they do in the physical is all attached to something spiritual. That's not really going to be open to everyone until the Lord comes. That's when it's going to be realized. That great realization is going to settle in their minds. Because right now, what we do is considered a light thing. Right? That's all I wanted to say.
Because we don't got no power, but
right.
Reading the scriptures.
Right. Well, that's why the scriptures also say that they'll be willing in the day of the Lord's power. That's when everybody wanted to choose a side. They're not going to be try to be in a gray area or in between and not sure and all that madness.
And that proves that the power that we do have is so great and magnificent that we don't even have the ability to resurrect somebody from the dead, like being physically dead or missing an arm. We can't even do that yet, but yet people still believe. That's how powerful the Holy Spirit is. Because Peter and them could do that. Peter and Paul and John and Philip and on, they could actually lay hands. If you have faith, you could lay hands on them and they could be like, they could start prophesying or whatever, or become healed from the issue of blood. We can't do that. We gotta do the herbs. We gotta pray. So our process is infinitely slower compared to our ancestors when they did it. But yet we still believe, even though we can't do those things as quickly and as powerfully as our ancestors could do it. But soon we're going to be able to do it just like our ancestors did. We're going to be able to do it very, very quickly and immediately. So that proves that the spirit of the Most High, Yakalba Page, is great. That's the greatest force that we can obtain is receiving that Holy Spirit. But even without the gift of performing miracles, we can still make people believe. Yeah. Right? Peter and them, they made people believe through the gift of miracles. So.
Yeah, I got a quick one to back you up. It says,
well, initially they had the faith, and then the faith was cemented with the gift of miracles.
Right, it afforded them those abilities that were to come after, yeah.
God, this second Esdras 1:35. Your houses will I give to a people that shall come, which not having heard of me, yet shall believe me, to whom I have shown no signs, yet they shall do that I have commanded them.
You read from?
Second Esdras 1:35.
You can read where it says, I am sought. I found of them that sought me not. Roughly paraphrase. I have find that where it says, I have found of them that sought me not. So read that again. That's saying the same thing. Just look it up, Google it, and then it should give you the scripture. I am found of them that sought me not. And them, that's the fulfillment of the Israelite Gentiles coming to the faith.
That's right.
And
yeah.
That includes us also.
Yep.
But read what you were reading again.
God, it says,
then read that prophecy.
Second Esdras 1:35. Your houses will I give to a people that shall come. Which not having heard of me, yet shall believe me, to whom I have shown no signs, yet they shall do that I have commanded them.
Yeah. So we're going to have believers. Right? We're going to have believers that they're going to take heed of the words of the prophets, right? Without necessarily having to perform miracles. Right? Well, we're all together and we don't know each other. That's a miracle in itself. We didn't previously know each other, and we all are linked together toward a common spirit. It's born up.
Yes. Verse 36. They have seen no prophets, yet they shall call their sins to remembrance and acknowledge them. I take to witness the grace of the people to
now
come.
They see prophets, but we are the prophets. Right?
Yeah.
But we haven't performed miracles.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, we haven't physically seen, the older prophets who were before us. God, it says, I take to witness the grace of the people to come.
Esdras was the prophet.
Yeah. Whose little ones rejoice in gladness, and though they have not seen me with bodily eyes, yet in spirit they believe the thing that I say.
Yep. Yeah. There you go.
Oh, what's that precept?
That's
Thomas.
That's second Esdras or first?
Second Esdras.
Thomas.
First
chapter. Yeah. Whoever had that precept.
Isaiah 65 verse 1. I am sought of them that asked not for me. I am found of them that sought me not. I said, behold me, unto a nation that was not called by my name.
And that's Israel being called the Greeks. Yeah. That's pretty much it. And today, you got Israel being called, Taino, West African, or whatever, or German, or Latino, Native American.
Brazilian.
So read that again. Read it again.
Isaiah 65 verse 1. I am sought of them that asked not for me. I am found of them that sought me not. I said, behold me, unto a nation that was not called by my name.
All right. Yeah, that doesn't include the heathen. All right, the actual heathen. All right, 'cause the actual heathen are going into slavery.
That means that we were all being awakened up to the faith. We're in a Gentile state of mind. We're all pursuing whatever careers, ideas of life that we had at the time. We weren't right. Yeah, we didn't have Yakalba Page. We had Jesus Christ at best, which wasn't nothing, because that wasn't getting us to the kingdom. All right, through that salvation via the chariots, believing in whatever beliefs that we had. Some brothers might have been Muslims, some brothers might have been Christians, some brothers might have moved away from Christianity and been kind of like partial Christians, like they held on to certain things, certain values, right? But they weren't really seeking the Lord because they didn't have the right name, they didn't have the right doctrine, they didn't understand prophecy. Now some brothers, a small minority of brothers, might have knew about Israelites when they were really young, but they didn't fully subscribe because the full understanding hadn't entered into him yet. Right? I can use myself as an example. I didn't hear nothing about Israelites until I was 19, 18, 19. And then 20 is when the Spirit got on me to go. I had learned about a year and a half, 2 years, consulted an elder. And when I had reached 20, this brother and myself had made signs, gathered together what we needed, and opened up a camp in the northern part of this state. All right? So, but I didn't know anything about Israelites. I didn't know nothing. I wasn't seeking being an Israelite. I didn't know nothing about that. I'm trying to be a damn musician, making a little money to send back home to mom and dad and do what I wanted to do, which was travel. Have what do they call that? The human experience. Go meet people and see this thing and that thing and right, you know. That bullshit. Right. Which, hey, now to come to find out, you know, on a low level, I was kind of in the right spirit because the Lord said that the world was made for our sakes. So, you know, in due time, we're going to be able to explore. We're going to be able to see these things and have that appreciation towards our power for giving us these wonderful things, man. I mean, literally, it's beyond our comprehension that the glory that's going to come upon us, as well as the promises that the Lord is going to present to us in due time, man. In due time. You said, could you read that again? Where were we at?
Isaiah 65:1. I am sought of them that asked not for me. I am found of them that sought me not. I say, behold me, unto a nation that was not called by my name.
Right. And like the brother said, oh, go ahead.
In the 66th chapter, it tells you that Esau is going to be destroyed.
Come.
So it can't be talking about the
Hell no.
It's talking about Israel. Israel scattered amongst the Greeks. The whole world back then. And today. Isaiah 66 tells you that Esau is going to be destroyed.
Right.
So you can't mix
Right.
those prophecies. You can't mix that garbage with the salvation of Israel. Totally separate.
I was going to say now an example back then would be Cornelius, okay, being of the Italian band. He wasn't seeking after Yahushua, but through the Spirit, Peter was told to go to Cornelius, okay? And remember, there was a stigma, like Apostle Bardas had done the video, right? There was an animosity between the tribes, between the southern and northern kingdom, going back to Jeroboam, which was the head of the northern kingdom, and Rehoboam, which was the head of the southern kingdom. And that animosity goes back to that time, all right? But it evolved into what was the circumcision and the uncircumcision. The circumcision represented the Jews, all right, or the southern kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, which they understood and had the traditions of our fathers. They had the commandments, but they themselves were hypocrites because they were not committing those things. They weren't keeping those things that they taught about, all right, by and large, right? So you had Cornelius, right? He was, you know, in the Roman army doing his thing. But then, remember that he was, read that again one more time, Baba Gashah, so I get the wording right.
Isaiah 65:1. I am sought of them that ask not for me.
That asked not of me. So it wasn't until Peter introduced Yahushua to Cornelius, all right, fully. Because there were certain things that Cornelius was actually already doing according to his faith. That's why he was recorded as he was recorded as being a devout, right, a devout man. But he needed Yahushua to get the fullness of it. So I just wanted it because you made the statement. Because you made it, yeah. That was then, and then, right. No, there's plenty. Right, there's plenty. That's why there was such a controversy of the Gentiles, because they went to the Jews. The sense of the Judah shall be raised first. They went to the Jews and they denied the Lord. So they said, okay, we going to the Gentiles then. Remember, he provoked them to jealousy by those that are not a people.
They were of the stock of, the southern kingdom also.
Right.
But they were just scattered.
Because the point that I'm trying to make is, yes, primarily you had Judah, Benjamin, and Levi in Israel that were not following the customs. They denied the Lord. They had to receive it first. And they did receive it first. That's why it was recorded. Yahushua said, enter not into any city of Samaria, all right? Because that was going to come after. But the uncircumcised is like an umbrella because it does cover Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, but there was also a scattering of the northern kingdom too. It wasn't just Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. It was the majority. You know, but you have to add that point because there's a lot of contention between the tribes. You see a brother like me, who is he? You know, what tribe are you from? You know, what about that guy right there?
You want to look up your family tree or ancestry.
Pretty much, you could say jealousy and who's going to rule over the other tribe, because there's no reason for the Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom to hate each other.
Well,
It's like there's no really, it's really not founded in anything, but it's not authentic, like the hatred, you know, because there's no reason, like if they were split apart, the Lord created the enmity.
That's right.
That there was no enmity. It's like who's going to be ruling over who? It was or that or who's going to be on top, because it's really, Judah never did nothing to Ephraim. Ephraim never did nothing, like took, you know, their props or you know, said F you or whatever. It was the Lord created that enmity.
Right.
Like that hatred comes
That's
from
the
the Most High
middle wall
himself.
partition. He put it there, but he was also through Yahushua eliminating it, closing the breaches thereof. That's all for prophecy's sake. Remember, it's all according to the main architect, which is Yahweh. Just like you said, it's by design. But that's the way it played out. You got Judah vexing Ephraim and Ephraim envying Judah. All right? Primarily why? Those are the two main tribes, right? The head tribe of the northern kingdom is Ephraim. The head tribe of the southern kingdom is Judah. And once them two get their shit together, so to speak, and put that madness to the side, the other nation, Satan. Well, the other nations being the Israelites, but more specifically, the other Israelites of their respective tribes are going to see that and fall in order. They got
rule over each other.
Right.
Who's better than who?
Right.
I mean, jealousy and all that. The Lord created that.
Being brothers again, man. Because the word animosity means to have a strong hostility towards. Hostility meaning to be unfriendly with. We always, you know, fighting each other, man, over dumb shit. Then you realize we're part of the same nation.
When the split happens, when you split organizations away from each other, there's always going to be some type of either high level or low level contention, even if they like each other. It's like some kind of type of competition or whatever. And by the Lord, the Most High splitting us up like that, it created that competition.
And even the Lord used Esau, you know, he put these movies where, you know, so-called black man against, you know, so-called Latino gang, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Hey, the Lord used Esau, you know, to, you know, part of that, you know, to make that happen, you know, that split.
Yeah, like Issachar and Judah in the West Coast.
Yeah.
You know, it's a split between them. You know?
Yeah, like
got dudes talking about some Issachar, I've seen a really short clip. Right?
Oh, yeah. He was asking, the dude asked him, well, what about if P. Diddy wanted to sign you? Yeah. He asked him if Diddy.
It was a lot of hyperbole.
Yeah.
He got caught out there, he's fucking up. But he said that, and a lot of people, they may not have said it like the label, but in general, like, I'm not fucking with no black dude in this type of situation. Which is what he really, that's the bigger implication, not just a record label.
Remember, he had mentioned that what really perpetuated that, which he might have already had it before, but what reinforced it was when he went to prison.
Yep, they make them separation by race.
Yeah. I mentioned that last week. Yeah, that's crazy. They'll side with the Issachar will side with a dude with a swastika tattooed on his neck. And all these demonic, in the clip that showed that the Edomite was telling him, like, yeah, they got all these demonic ideologies against Judah or whatever. And you would side with them in jail? You know, that's kind of crazy. That's a part of the hatred. Yeah, the enmity.
Yeah,
you know?
That's the person too.
Yeah, another example.
He said he don't even want you in the fucking country. How about you?
Esau look at you as a foreigner, call you an alien,
but not in jail.
Even your land. He don't want you in the land that originally belonged to you, where your ancestors dwelt.
Yeah, tribes are this tribe. Mexico,
Right.
Arizona, California. Then you had Gad on the other part. They the same people, but you had Issachar. Those were the tribes dwelling with Issachar.
And you had Reuben in the south, Seminole, Florida, Georgia.
And Gad everywhere else. Pretty much everywhere else. Up, north, west, south.
Canada.
Some of them wanted to cross the Bering Strait, some of them didn't, you know.
Like that old devil said when he called it Issachar out, and Issachar said, you know, he basically said, go back to Mexico. He said, I'm indigenous to the land. And fucking, he's like, oh, the indigenous.
Oh, you're gonna wrap his mind around one word.
Yeah. He said indigenous.
Right.
But yeah,
You
he
gotta
didn't know.
think about it.
Yeah.
It's like shit.
Yeah. A lot of Edomites, man, they
It's
want
my country. That's
Yeah.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yep. They'll tell Judah, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, go back to Africa. They'll tell the
You
rest
like
of
to go back to Africa.
Yeah, they'll tell the Northern Kingdom, a lot of them, go back to the islands and all that. Meanwhile, we were already in this fucking land. And a lot of these Edomites will say about how we just want a land of our own. This was never your land. You didn't.
You had a land of your own.
Yeah.
It's called the Caucasus.
Exactly. Yeah, you came over here.
You don't like that. You don't like that part of history. So you want to think you're this pious, righteous individual who, fought for this land.
Or discovered it, with no one on it.
Such bravery and courage, and the Native Americans were such terrible individuals.
Yeah, right.
When you got here, they were like savages.
Yeah.
You had to colonize them and bring culture to them.
Basically animals.
All this madness. Which it was the reverse.
Yep.
When you got here, you were dying of disease. You were sickly. You were bringing things over with you. Okay, and it was Gad primarily. Okay, that was showing you how to live off the land and how to have respect for it, and you didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
Once you got to a certain point, as the scriptures say in Psalms, all right, he was drawing swords. So after you let your guard down, he pursued you with the sword. And that's the MO, the modus operandi of the Edomite. Okay?
How dare you follow Esau? How dare you? Issachar, of all people, how dare you follow Esau? And then you say fuck Judah. The reason, your whole Mexican thing, your music and all that stuff, that came from Spain, which the Judah was ruling Spain. The whole Mexican culture that they imported from Spain, that Issachar still follows today, came from the tribe of Judah. If it was imported from Spain, it came from the tribe of Judah.
Spanish
The Moreno, it came from them. The bullfighting, that came from Issachar, Mexicans, that came from the tribe of Judah. Give me the scripture where it says, we all come out of the waters of Judah.
Oh, waters of Judah.
Yeah, so you can't be hating on Judah like that, because Judah pretty much had so much supremacy over a lot of creativity. When you look back on it, it's going to go back to the tribe of Judah. It's not going to go back to fucking Esau. You're going to side with the damn devil while you in jail. You can't eat with a Judah. You got to eat with a Mexican. You got to eat with a Esau.
Real quick. This is why Yahweh Shai said in Luke 19:27, those that should not that I reign over them, bring hither and slay before me. Because if you're saying that, you ain't gonna get down with the fact that our Lord sprang out of the tribe of Judah. You still looking at this Edomite as your savior, right? Esto Cristo no Blanco, right?
Right, yeah. What they say? What salsa? That came out of Cuba, right? I believe. They say Afro-Cubans. So that was probably the tribe of Judah that created salsa.
Yeah, if I could also bring out too, like a lot of reasons why the Northern Kingdom want to kind of gravitate to Esau is because they get some of those benefits. I remember it's still kind of going on now, but back a couple years ago they were really heavy on saying that the Northern Kingdom isn't part of the 12 tribes, right? Because it basically they had Judah because they had Judah in slavery and this and that. But the thing about it is, like, if you can get some sort of positive benefit from the person in power, you're gonna gravitate to that.
Yeah,
like
Judah does the same thing.
Exactly. That's why I said like when you had the field Negro and the house Negro. And the house Negro was in the house. He had a certain level of authority. So at the end of the day, you would want to try to attain to be that because you had some sort of were at least better than the field Negro, right? So
that's how much hate the enmity is between the two houses.
Yep.
They rather side with Esau.
Yep. And there's a benefit to that. And like for me personally, like I can take part of that benefit, right? There's so many times where Esau come up to me, and I look a little bit more like him, but my spirit is obviously a spirit of Jake. But like he'll come up to me and talk about this dude and that dude. Like I'm just gonna immediately side with him. Now I can get a certain level of like gratification.
Play the game. If you're so-called biracial, just play the game.
Yeah.
If they think you were Edomite, just act like you were fucking Edomite.
Exactly. And you get a lot.
You don't have to fight against these motherfuckers because
you get a lot of so-called benefit from it. Obviously within reason. Use this world and not abusing it within reason, right? But like.
So if you got that application, put Caucasian.
Yeah. You got the complexion for the protection.
You be looking for your tribe. You don't see it, so you just put non-specific. Don't make it harder on yourself. To be like, what's this nigga talking about?
Even if you have a Spanish last name, you can still say you're Caucasian. You
Yep.
can still say that.
Yeah.
Because like Spaniards, they if you're from Spain, they would put Caucasian down.
Right, white, not Hispanic.
Yeah, white. There you go. White, not
Portugal,
Hispanic.
Portuguese,
They would put that on there. So even if you have a Spanish last name.
Crazy thing is, this is a store me and my mom been going to for years. African food, been there since we started going. Every time Esau come in, he say, "Hey, my brother." Every time he see us, he like, "Hello."
Yeah. Wait, niggas, they just niggas. You know? Darkies, they just regular customers, you know. But you want to greet what they appear as the outsiders, whatever. Greet them like, "Oh, you're welcome here. You can shop here, bring your friends and all that." Just so they can make more money, you know. They do that to make them feel like family, whatever. You're supposed to do that though, yeah.
Yeah.
Make them feel like family. You about to say something?
Yeah. Ishmael do that. Elam do that. Like every time we go to certain place establishment, they agree. Hey, brother. They like try to be intimate, more familiar.
Spit shiny boots and all that.
Yep. But I did basically make that point and bring that up because a lot of people will say that that video about basically oh, I won't sign with a black label, and then they say, oh, see that hot. And then you want to say they're part of the nations. But first off, that's part of prophecy.
Right. Niggas that say that.
Yes, it says that.
Niggas that only deal with so-called little hats. Yeah. Because they're gonna make a certain amount of money with them.
Yep.
You know, exactly. Women that only marry the Edomite man. They're just Judites, black as hell.
Yeah, what was it? I believe that was that the 20?
A lawyer, little hat lawyer.
Slogan, wasn't that I think the Def Jam comedy or something? There was a Netflix skit, and they were basically giving all homage to so-called Jews up in the front row.
Ari Spears said that.
Talking about if it wasn't for him, I wasn't given this opportunity. They point at it as a damn So all those people that run the industry, they're basically what made Jake famous.
Well, look, a lot of your favorite TV shows, the producers and the writers were small hats.
Yep.
They studied your behaviors and put together a show.
Some of them actually are real Jews.
That's true.
You can't
That's
tell
true.
because a lot of them you don't even see their face. You'll never know what they look like. Because they hide themselves.
Either way, these so-called respected shows amongst the black community, they were all put together by a small hat.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Your favorite characters.
Producers,
Yeah.
Like Natalie Portman. A lot of y'all didn't know that she's a little. Natalie Portman, a little thin,
I like that girl.
Little bendable, foldable, little thing from Star Wars or whatever, and Thor.
Oh yeah.
Natalie Portman, she's a little hat. You can there's actually you can Google it, and then they actually have a list of actors and entertainers that are actually low hats that you would never know that they're little hats. Because like Whoopi Goldberg said, you can't tell the difference, and they try to cancel it for that. You can't tell the difference between a German and a little hat. They look exactly the same. So, you finished with your spirit?
Yeah.
Some of them are undercover small hats too.
Like I know Ben Stiller, he'll always be, when he does a lot of his movies, he normally alludes to the fact that he's so-called, but if you go to source it, I haven't seen from, at least a couple of years ago to even before then, I was never able to find an exact source, but I believe he's a small hat, because he got a lot of his, Ben Stiller. Yeah, but that's if you look up what he is, it don't really tell you. It don't really tell you, but he always alludes to it. And one major way you know that he is because you never really see him except for once in a blue moon. But you find out that he's got his hands in a lot of things. He's producing, writing, all of that. And that's common amongst the small hats, Just a little tidbit,
He did a couple of decent movies.
I think Vince Vaughn might even be a small hat.
Vince Vaughn too?
I believe he is too, yeah.
Well, I understand. Well, he might be a Jake. He might be a Jake.
But
Too crazy.
He like playing basketball with niggas too. That might be an indicator or or might not be.
Scarlett Johansson. I guess she's Jewish with her.
She a little. Oh, I know that. Scarlett Johansson?
Yeah, I just looked it up.
Oh shit.
That's that girl, that little
I
hair.
thought she's like an American sweetheart. That's
her mother.
Do you think it's a man?
Well, I mean her mother.
The blonde hair, short chick.
Chloe Grace Moritz?
No, the chick that she had the $10,000 smile. I think she a man or whatever. I forget. in their names.
Well, I think that bitch. Well,
You saying she's like a transsexual or something
yeah,
like
a lot
that?
of these different
Oh,
actors.
you
Trans-
talking about Ellen?
Not Ellen,
Page,
no.
no?
Yeah, they got
Blonde hair.
stocky structures,
I forget the name.
like real masculine figures. That's the thing. Some of them women that y'all got them masculine figures, that's a damn curse. But then some of them that got them masculine figures is fucking, you know, gone through that phase, so to speak. There was another one too that I'm thinking of. It's right at the tip of my tongue. It's not just Vince Vaughn. What movie did he play in with Jake? He was like the so-called small hat lawyer or whatever. Damn.
I can't even find
You said Vince Vaughn?
Yeah, it wasn't Vince Vaughn. What brother, help me out. The movie used to quote a lot, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black. CD4. The Edomite in there that's riding around in the back of the car. What the hell is his name? It's right at the tip of my tongue. But anyway, we can move on. But he's a so-called small head too. I was surprised. I thought this whole time he was Italian or whatever. Which, you know, he still might be a Jake.
A lot of them mixed with each other.
Right.
Little hats and
Yeah.
expression, I was Italian.
Yeah. Yeah, you got that in Atlantic City.
The scripture I asked for of Judah.
Yeah, Isaiah 48 verse 1. Hear ye this, O house of Jacob, which are called by thy name Israel, and are come forth out of the waters of Judah, which swear by the name of the Lord, and make mention of the heavenly Father of Israel, but not in truth nor in righteousness.
Yeah, right. And another scripture where it says that Jacob is the former of all things. Like all the so-called European music, popular music, rock and roll, that all came from the tribe, mainly from the tribe of Judah, or Judah, Benjamin, Levi, one of them, and you might have had the northern kingdom strength up in there. Like European classical music, Baroque music, that came from Judah, okay? Beethoven, Richard Strauss, Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach, which is John, all right? You can translate it to John, but, you know, Johann, it means John in German, all right? Mozart, all up European music came from the tribe of Judah. All right, so you can't be hating on Judah and then side with the devil. See, eventually with Esau, he gonna like the elders and apostles say, they gonna show their horns. They're gonna show you that they really hate you, and all that. Those are defects. All right, you side with Esau like that. All right, those are fucking defects. That's why the Lord is going to separate Israel. The Lord, the Most High, Yahweh is going to separate people to himself, meaning the elect. So you're going to have Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Simeon, Zebulun, Manasseh, Gad, Reuben, Naphtali, Asher, Issachar. The Lord has an elect among them. He's going to pull them away from all that hatred, that stupidity, those fucking mental defects. And through the prophets, going to teach them the word, and they're going to deliver. But the rest of you that still got those dumbass ideologies, those myths, those fables, that hate you, the Lord going to destroy you. All right, he's going to use Esau to do it, and then the nuclear fire going to burn you up. That's going to be the end result of that.
Yeah, I got a quick one.
Yeah, go ahead. If you got scriptures, just raise your hand.
Gone. It's Amos 9 and 8. Behold, the eyes of the Lord Yahweh are upon the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth, saving that I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, saith the Lord Yahweh. Yeah, the house of Jacob is the elect of the nation of Israel, you know, the house of David. It says, verse 9.
All the tribes, the kingdom of Judah and the kingdom of Israel.
Gone.
And what if we don't have those kingdoms on there? So it's the 12 tribes of Israel.
For lo, I will command, and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations, like as corn is sifted in a sieve, yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth.
And that's why the prophets had to go amongst the nations to mentally pull Israel from among those heathens. They still dwell in those nations, but mentally they're not. They got the king mindset now, right? Kingly mindset, mind looking toward the kingdom of heaven, right? Which belongs to Israel, because the other nations are going to be slaves in the kingdom. You have to put the slaves in. You can't just say the kingdom of heaven is going to come. You have to designate the slaves. Who are the slaves? Who are the continual employment that Ezekiel was talking about? You have to bring that out. But they don't bring it. They just amend it. That's how you know they're full of shit. That's how you can always, like, you're not even a level to debate us, and you can't fill in who the slaves are going to be. If you can't tell us who the slaves are going to be, you're not qualified to debate any of the Israelites. All right? Even the retarded Israelites. You're not even qualified to debate them. If you can't tell us who are the people that's going to be serving slavery in the kingdom of heaven. Now, what else scripture we call for?
Jeremiah 10:16.
Read that.
Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 16. The portion of Jacob.
Oh, Daniel 2:44. Right.
Jeremiah chapter 6, verse. Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 16. The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things.
For he is the former of all things. All right. So Esau think he created all the technology himself. No, it's based upon the foundation of what existed before. And the Lord put Esau's mind to create like new ideas and new concepts based upon the old stuff. All right, like you had, what's the ancient missile?
Arrow.
Catapult and the trebuchet. That's French. Fuck the pronunciation, but trebuchet. And the catapult. All right, that's the ancient missile. So Esau, the Most High gave it in his mind to create a new concept of what was old. All right, and then you got the bow and arrow also. But the trebuchet and the catapult had fire on it. All right, so that's more akin to the missile. All right.
Yeah, you used to have an old mechanical a bow.
Engines of war or whatever. Yeah.
Like basically it was like a giant wooden bow, like kind of like a catapult, but you put one giant arrow in there and freaking.
Yeah.
Launch it.
Got rams and shit. Rams.
Yeah.
They knocked down a wall. Now they got tanks. Maybe something heavy that's going to tear something up. And it's incorporated, technologies together. You got tanks. They got the modern day battering ram.
Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Lord of hosts is his name.
Yeah, so who's going to inherit the kingdom of heaven? Israel. Israel is the rod of his inheritance. So the Most High, Yahweh, and His Son, Yahweh actually possesses us. He physically possesses us. And in so much that He gave us put His name on us. He called us gods. He's a prince of the power. He's a prince of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh. We are the princes. Right? That's why it says in Isaiah 32, it says princes shall rule, the kings shall reign in righteousness, and princes shall rule in judgment. And we are those princes. Yahweh is the king. Now, he's a king and a prince and a father. Yahweh Shai. All right, any more?
That's it.
All right, who's up?
In Revelation 5 and 10, it says, and has made us unto the Most High kings and priests, and we shall reign on earth.
Right, yeah, so we're going to have the garments, the ephod and the linen. The linen that you don't sweat. Find that. Look up sweat. It was a certain garment that the priests had to wear that they would not sweat. And I was looking up the difference between like linen and cotton. I think linen is come from like hemp or something like that. Hemp, and it takes longer to weave and fabricate. You find that?
Yeah.
You don't sweat.
Ezekiel 44.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is Ezekiel 44, verse 18. It says, they shall have linen bonnets upon their heads, and shall have linen. God, and shall have linen breeches upon their loins.
Breeches like pants, right? Or garments.
God. And it says, they shall not gird themselves with anything that causeth sweat.
Called the sweat. And I believe that's talking about the priests. Read up a little bit. I think it's talking about the priests. That's reforming the kingdom.
Yeah, and verse 15 it says, but the priests, the Levites, the sons of Zadok, that kept the charge of my sanctuary, when the children of Israel went astray from me, they shall come near to me to minister unto me, and they shall stand before me to offer unto me the fat and the blood, saith the Lord Yahweh.
Now we go back to the sweat.
God. This verse 18, it says,
right up with that's no more heat gonna come on us. Somebody get that? But we read 240. Stay on 244, Danny. But that links up right with we ain't gonna have no more heat on us because we're gonna be kings and priests, which you read. All right. So we're gonna have obviously we're gonna have garments that are gonna be beyond what I can even put into words. They're gonna be so well done. All right, and we definitely ain't gonna be sweating. All right. So
Yeah.
go ahead. We sweat.
Oh, what? And also not mixing.
Yeah, not mixed. Yeah, the frequency's gonna be all in line and all that. Yeah. Look. Read it. Sweat.
Daniel.
No, sweat. Read the sweat verse.
Yeah, Khan. This is Ezekiel 44, verse 18. It says, they shall have linen bonnets upon their heads, and shall have linen breeches upon their loins.
Bonnets or turbans, but head wraps, but
God, they shall not gird themselves with anything that causes sweat.
linen. Okay? And we're not going to, when we're ministering, we ain't supposed to be like sweating and like, perspiring, sweating, and have filth about you. Like, you know, you just took a shit or whatever, you ain't, or, you know, urine and all that, but we're going to be clean. We're going to be completely clean. All right? So that's the difference. The Lord said He's going to put a difference between the clean and the unclean. So when we minister, when we go about our daily life, we're going to be clean. We're going to be 100% clean. All right? Because when we sweat, we become defiled. All right? Underarms be stinking and shit. You ain't supposed to go to the house of the Lord all fucked up like that. Right? And minister. That's why we got to burn the frankincense and myrrh and all that. We had to do that. If we had to take a shit, we had to do it without the camp or whatever. We had to take that out. You know, read laws on that. All right? So when we get into our kingdom, we're going to have perfect bodies. We ain't going to be sweating at all. We're going to be perfect. And we're going to have the priestly garments on. All right? Because we're going to be kings and priests. So we're going to have the Urim and the Thummim. We're going to have the connection directly to Yahweh Shai. Right? So whatever form that's going to be in, you know, whether it be oral, mental, you know, or both. Those the other nations are not linked to the power like Israel is going to be linked to the power. You see, the scriptures that we just brought out, Esau can't even formulate scriptures like that to form even a blurry image of what the kingdom is going to be like. That's all I attempted to do, was to form an image of what the kingdom is going to be like. All right? So we can't obviously attain that now. So when we minister, we're going to be sweating, because we got the office of prophecy anyway. We're not like well, this is technically an altar. But we're still technically defiled, because we're going to be sweating and, you know, different things wrong with us and all that. You know, some of us might be even lame or whatever. I believe there's a scripture about the lame man or whatever. Lame, about coming to the temple, or the stones being broken and all that. You know, we defiled. Not saying any of us lame or stones broken, you know, balls broken, nothing like that. But amongst Israel, by default, you're going to have, amongst Israel, you're going to have brothers whose balls don't work, and that are lame, and that are still going to offer, you know, proper sacrifice unto the Lord, right? Because we've been covered by the blood of Yahweh Shai that cleanses us from that. All right?
Micah 4 verse 1. But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of the Lord shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and the people shall flow unto it. And many nations shall come and say, come and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, and to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths, for the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem.
Yes, all the nations are going to learn from Israel, learn from all the tribes, because we're all going to be priests. But you had the Levites that had a special office. All right, they were scattered amongst. I believe they did have an area between Judah and Simeon, but they were scattered throughout all the tribes, because they had to minister and teach Israel the laws and morals and all that. They were literally responsible. They were like kind of like the police, so to speak. But they were more advanced. They were like more like attorney police. Because the fucking cops don't know the law. They know surface level stuff, and they do research so they can trap you up and all that. You know, 'cause you might watch the First Amendment guys or whatever. You know how they be cutting the fucking cops, because the cops are fucking stupid. So the Levites were like lawyers, like on the street, like walking, and they had like special knowledge, because that's what they did. That was their actual profession, was the laws, the morals, and all the conduct. That was their actual profession. So of course, if they studied every single day, and that's literally their lot from the Most High, they're special in that regards. So we're going to be like every Israelite man is going to have that ability like the Levite did. And even on a greater level. But we're not going to forget nothing and make mistakes. We'll have poor judgment. Because the Levite can still have poor judgment, you know, even though he's a master in the law. We ain't going to have no poor judgment. Our judgment will be excellent. There's more? That's it. All right, matter of fact, bring my 2 and 44 out before it never come out.
Daniel 2 verse 24. Therefore,
2 and 44.
2 and 44, Salakia.
That's the other people.
Daniel 2 verse 44. And in the days of these kings shall the power of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people.
Yeah, so you have to get around that if you're saying if there's universal salvation. All right? It says they're not going to be left to other people. All right? Go ahead.
But it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever.
Right, so that kingdom didn't arise yet. All right? So all those kingdoms, so the feet of iron and partly iron and clay, that hadn't been destroyed yet. So that's the kingdom, which is the kingdom of Israel, or Yahweh-Shai's kingdom, that has to rise up first to destroy the feet, the iron and the clay. That hasn't happened yet. All right? So Yahweh-Shai was put to death and resurrected, well, he's manifested, put to death, resurrected, and that still hasn't happened yet. So how are you saying that all nations can be saved, and that prophecy didn't even happen yet? This is elementary. Come on. Continue.
Verse 45. For as much as thou sawest the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it break in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great power hath made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter. And the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof sure.
All right. So he was the head of gold, I believe. The head of gold. Yeah, he was the head of gold. But it was for many days until the rest of the image came to pass, and then the toes and the feet didn't. The stone, the great mountain didn't destroy the feet yet. So you can't say that all nations can be saved because those people ain't gonna be saved. They damn sure ain't gonna be saved. But give me where it says the kingdom was destroyed. Find the verse where it says in Daniel, where it says. Thrones were cast down, I believe. It might say something like that. Or no, or it might be in the second chapter also. But what are you reading?
Daniel 7:9.
7? You reading that? Is there one before that? Or is that the part where it says it? Read that.
Yeah, Daniel 7 verse 9. And I beheld till the thrones were cast down.
Or read up a little bit.
Con. Verse 7. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns.
Right, so that's the Romans.
Verse 8, and I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things.
Yes.
Verse 9, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and an ancient of days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like pure wool. His throne was like a fiery flame, and his wheels as a burning fire.
Jump down to 79. Are you reading that?
Yeah, go ahead. Verse 13, and I saw in the night vision, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed.
There you go. So you can't incorporate all nations into that kingdom. Right?
Can you jump down to 18?
Daniel 7 verse 18. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever.
Right there, that clarifies who's going to inherit the kingdom of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. It's going to be the saints. Who are the saints? Are the saints everybody? No. The saints are the Israelites.
Read the thrones are cast down again.
Christians say the saints is everybody.
They're crazy.
The
That's
Christians
not
say the
biblical.
saints is everybody.
Right, but they would be wrong on that. Because the word saint, all right, or in the Latin Santa means holy. The Hebrew word for holy is Kodash. So when you go back to the scriptures, who is it that was known as that holy people unto the Lord? The Israelites. No one else got that title.
So they would have to be separate. If they call themselves the saints, they would have to be separate from the world. But yet they're not separate from the world. They indulge in all the lust and demonic activity of the world. So they can't be separated when they do and they taking part of the full benefits of the world. Like they eat all eat pork. If you eat pork, you're not separated. You can't be a saint. You know, so. You gotta go?
Daniel 7 verse 9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit.
Right. The thrones were cast down. All right. So all those thrones, the beast and the image, were all were destroyed. All right. And those are actual nations of people. All right. Whom the so-called fake Christians say can be saved. But it said that the Lord came back and destroyed their whole kingdom, destroyed all those people in it. It didn't just destroy 4 people. It destroyed that nation of people and put them in slavery. When it cast them down, mean they got taken out of power. Now, they had to explain that. What does that mean? If they were taken out of power, that means what? They're all gonna go to hell, I guess. That's what they probably say. All right? But they don't explain it. They don't explain it. All right? Those people do not have the opportunity to be saved because the Lord cast their kingdom down. Like I said before, you got to designate who's going into slavery because the Bible speaks about prophecy of people are going to be signed out for continual employment. You have to fill in the blank of who them people are. Because those people obviously can't be saved. They're going to be fucking working. They're not going to be in the kingdom enjoying all the benefits of the kingdom. They're going to be working. They're going to be doing servile work. They're going to be a utility, right? Used to build and maintain. So they cannot be people that have the opportunity to be saved. That's impossible. Right? You can't have both things at the same time. Right? Everybody can be saved, but yet people gonna be in slavery too. That don't make no fucking sense. Right? Next precept.
Had Psalm 147 and 19. It says, Psalm 147 and 19, He showeth his word unto Jacob and his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord Yahweh.
They don't want to know. That's how we know that they're not separate. They're not separated. All right, in the Israelite sense, because you can be separated to be like a prostitute too. But that's not the separation we're talking about. We're talking about the separation, separated to serve Yahweh Shai. Look up religion in the Bible, and look up the Greek word for religion. And in the Hebrew, it would be ibad. I believe I looked it up. Service in the Hebrew New Testament. So read it. Read your precept.
Revelation 2 verse.
Because they ain't separated. So.
Revelation 2 verse 26. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations.
If those people are separated, all right? Keep the works unto the end. Not just have faith, but keep the works. All right?
Verse 27. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father.
Yeah, so that's going to be the where the Lord Yahweh Shai received that blessing. That goes back to Psalms, the 2nd chapter. So asking me, and I give thee the heathen for thine inheritance and the othermost parts of the earth. All right, and that's the othermost parts of the earth is over here in the Western Hemisphere. So Yahweh Shai going to reign over the whole earth. Well, really the whole our universe. He's going to reign over the whole thing. And that's Yahweh Shai, what he received from the Father. Which again proves that they're separate people. They're separate beings. He didn't receive inheritance from himself. All right? Broken, yeah, religion, but broken. You look those words up, rabdos, rod, like being beaten with a rod. A severe rule, right? So they're gonna get the shit beat out of them. They're gonna get shit. Well, you say shit beat down their leg, they're gonna get shit beat down their leg and their face and their back. All right. You're gonna put the belt across Esau's ass and his face. All right. Esau is not gonna be in the kingdom of heaven enjoying the fruits of the kingdom. Because you know how when you're a farmer in Israel, you work in the field, you can eat like some fruit while you're working and all that. Esau, you can't fucking do that. You'll be in the field, if you eat one fucking piece of fruit, you're getting fucked up. Right? One piece of fucking
In
fruit.
the distribution world, if you work for a main distributor, and let's say you handle food, and you going through the aisles, and you were caught eating something, you get turned for that. They call that grazing. So, if we catch you grazing the fields, you can get terminated. And I don't mean just lose your position either. I mean, you're going to go back to the spirit world.
Or we can get the Hamites, we can make the Hamites do that for you. The Hamites will give you a whooping and a public example. But, you know?
You're going to let like a period of time go by and you're going to wake up back in your body like, damn, send you right back in.
He was dead. I was dead.
Like Dr. Strange was doing Loki, I believe. The Puerto shit, the first one. You terrorize these. The scripture say the heart shall meditate terror.
And Esau, the headmaster, pushed the body.
Yeah, out of spirit.
It's like an astral projection. Pushed his spirit right out of his body.
He astral traveling.
Yeah, Esau gonna be in complete subjection. No. Oh yeah, and when you pour wine, Esau, you're gonna have to wear gloves. You got to wear white gloves when you pour wine. You pour my wine anyway. And if you caught without the fucking white gloves on, that's 10 days in a brig.
Where?
All right, 10 days in a brig. That's like military prison or whatever.
10 days in a hole.
In a hole.
He'll be in solitary
Right.
confinement.
And if you pour the wrong level, Esau, you ain't gonna have no power. Esau not gonna have any power. It's not gonna be a light thing for Esau to be enslaved. It's gonna be a hard. That's gonna be Esau's hell. It's gonna be like you enter into like the Twilight Zone or something, outer limits. All right. It's not gonna be like a lesson taught at the end, because Esau is gonna be burnt the fuck up. It's gonna be what to the other nations. It might be a lesson, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
Esau gonna be burnt the fuck up.
That's limitations to the fourth chapter. That,
Rejoice and be glad, O Edom. Right, because right now you had the upper hand. You lived life the way you wanted to live it, right? You exploited the earth, the resources, the people. But there was a bill for all of that. So there's and then look, these are the receipts. When we talk about the things that you do and go into the scriptures, that's the receipts for all the wickedness. So you can't say, oh, I didn't know any better. The scripture tells you that this man, okay, he should be given, well, Habakkuk 2, right? The soul which is lifted up in him is not upright. But this man has been given the advantage, and yet he's done nothing righteous while in authority, while in power. Roughly paraphrasing. They've been given the due of heaven, right? They got what they took what they wanted, they stole it, if they wanted it, they got it, they coveted it, right? Rejoice.
Oh, another one in Isaiah 14. It says rejoice now the whole Palestinian, front to Esau, so-called Jews.
Is your servitude.
Yep.
Where you're going to have to serve the punishment
For, ruling carelessly. For ruling in wickedness.
Yeah, you have to pay for that. Like, pay out of his ass, literally. He's going to get his ass whipped. All right, so it's, what's that? Revelation 12, it says that rejoice now, O ye heavens, and you that dwell in them.
Right.
Then Isaiah 14 says the same thing.
It also says give unto her double, right? Like, like those brothers, like totally within the spirit of doing that, right? Because like, Esau has all these trivial.
You're in that spirit.
Yeah.
Meditating.
Well, yeah, it's the thing. Like Esau has all these trivial laws on us that like he can just hem us up for at any given moment. We're gonna have the same thing for him. Just outlandish fucking rules to him, and we're gonna it's gonna be a complete perfect.
Well, guess what?
And it's gonna be like just like Esau sets us up. He makes rules that he knows people are gonna break. We're gonna do the same thing to him. We're gonna set up rules that.
Have the capacity to keep the laws.
Yep.
Because that's what's going to be enacted in the kingdom.
Yep. We know that we're gonna tell him like, look, you got to do X, Y, and Z, but we're gonna know he's gonna be subject to fail, so we're gonna punish him for it, right? So it's just like he does to us, just like he.
Right now, he has the ability to hold himself not guilty.
Yep.
In the kingdom, we're not going to have that luxury. You're going to pay for everything that you've done and everything you do.
Yeah, we see through a glass darkly. We can see it, but certain parts of it are a little blurry.
Right.
So we believe it.
And then on top of that, see, right now, this scripture say this man ain't cursed like other men. But in the kingdom, all the curses that was on us going to be on him on top of it.
Very good.
Right. Well, he hides a lot of his curses too. He got to hide them. Yeah.
Well, in the interest of the conversation,
Let's say when he goes to law, he has the ability to make things up that
money system too. the law.
allow him to escape punishment. All right, he has the advantage to, think of loopholes and or design a law a certain way so that he knows that if it were ever to come and reflect on him, he'll be able to weasel his way out of it.
Yeah, he's also brought up to not be an employee. So we might we're raised to be employees. We saw he's a certain level.
Right.
We're raised to be like business owners, entrepreneurs.
Right.
So when they graduate college or whatever or inherit money, they have the mindset of getting the money to work for them. We are in mass. Our people don't have that ability to make their money work for them. They have the woe is me, the condescend to the lowest. You're supposed to condescend to low form, but they at the very fucking bottom with their mindset. Where they don't believe they can do shit. Esau is not cursed like that. Esau is blessed with a higher mind where he at least believes in himself that he can achieve certain things. You can do anything you put your mind to. Esau, that's one of the slogans that Esau make up.
Yeah, that's that comedian
C.K. Lewis, and he did the skit where it's great to be a so-called white person. He could pretty much go into a time machine and go back to any time period, and things would be good for him. They said the punchline was, "But boy, I hate to see what the future's gonna look like."
They actually made a movie called Time Machine. He did the same thing. Going back in time, they look at the future. They wasn't looking so good in the future. There's a Guy Pearce starred in it. I think it came out 2000, 2001. I'm gonna watch it probably when it went out. Esau built a time machine. He went back in time, and then he went forward.
Well, that's
everything
Esau's
was
worst
everything was
nightmare.
fucked up. Everything was fucked up in the
That's
future.
Esau's worst nightmare. Hence Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
That's why he's trying to go to the moon.
Yeah. Well, he think he's saying.
Right.
Going to go back to, make a moon base and all that. Like Esau, you ain't doing that shit. That's just witchcraft. Your media, other brothers already went into your media and all that before. It's just going to be a shit show because they're about to plan something major. That's why they're announcing this shit now.
That shit only exists in theory.
Yeah, in their fucking mind. What they're really doing is, since you brought it up, is they're doing experiments in space to figure out how to live in space because they know huge parts of the Earth going to be destroyed, and they're trying to escape the destruction. So they're doing experiments in space with plants and the agriculture and animals and shit to figure out how to survive, replicate food, and living in space. That's what the fuck they're doing up there. They're not going to no damn moon, interstellar travel and all that, going to different deep space. And Esau is not fucking doing that.
Movie Interstellar, now that you mentioned it, but they were using refined
Feces to grow potatoes and stuff like that. I forget. There was a movie where they exemplify or illustrate exactly what this brother was talking about. They actually built like this greenhouse, if you will, and this is where all their food was. But then something happened where they were losing their food. But yeah, a lot of these post-apocalyptic movies or even TV shows, they show you where they went into outer space, but it was unlivable, so they had to come back down to Earth. But the only problem is everything had been contaminated. Right. It's a reoccurring theme. This is why they have these bunkers and they're storing up the goods and everything else like that.
Yeah, then you get the movie Elysium.
Yeah. I think that might have been the movie. Yeah. I think it might have been, but don't quote me. But yeah, but they show you that. That's all the point that I was trying to make.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
In space, and they doing that, because they trying to escape Earth, because they know something bad about to happen. That's why they're not investing in the infrastructure and the people, because they know they want to be able to fight the war, so the elite, the best part of the people, will survive, and
Well, that's why they
living space.
Yes.
One living space.
That's why I forget where I seen this. But there was a meeting that took place with this billionaire. I forget exactly who it was. And he was saying when all of this goes down, because they knew the reset was coming and everything like that. The servants that they wanted to keep around, how do they prevent them from turning on them? Because everybody else, they're not worried about that. They're basically no. This was an actual private conversation that took place, and they brought in these individuals and think tanks on how do we keep and maintain control of the servicemen and women that we're going to keep around us to secure everything, because everybody else they know is undesirable. So they're trying to formulate these different tactics on how to keep these people in line, you know. But because, like you just said, when this thing goes down, their mindset is there's a certain sect of the population that is undesirable, worthless eaters, unuseful. See, they could replace them with AI, artificial intelligence. They can replace them with robotics. They can replace them. A large percentage of what we do, the different laborious tasks that we do, can be replaced with this newfound technology. And so that's the mindset, but it's not going to come to full fruition. But I just, you know.
Yeah, well, Esau, he still needs like souls.
Right.
Remember,
Well, that's why he's
power
saying.
of the Spirit being
That's why in that conversation, I forget where I heard it. If I can, I'll post it in the description box post production. But they were having a private conversation where that came up. Like the biggest problem that they'll have, not that they'll even get that far, but the biggest problem that they'll have is once they've fulfilled depopulating enough of the earth, and they, you know, everything is pretty much in his control. How do you keep the rest or the remaining in line? But that's his mindset. He's a madman.
Yeah, and different ways you go about that. You gotta create crime, problems. You gotta create a slum.
Right.
You know, you gotta destroy the confidence of a large group of people who don't believe that they can have the confidence to do anything. Right. And that's how you stay in power. You gotta have a middle class and lower class.
Yep.
And upper class. That's how you stay in power. You gotta have the different classes. Stay in power. And control those classes.
You know, that's why they're eliminating the middle class entirely. If you're going to be rich, you got to assimilate into the, well, even if you're poor. But mainly if you're rich, if you want to hold on to any of those assets, all right, or if they are to be transferred into this new credit system, then you have to live according to that image, you know? Same thing with the poor. If you want the little mediocrity that you got and you want to retain it, then you got to live by this system.
And basically, if you want to live.
Right.
If you want to live.
Because if you eliminate the middle class and even the upper middle class, you know, who are making six figures or they're, you know, worth a couple million, they still have a little pull, you know? They're not in the same circumstance as somebody who's poor or basic low middle class. There's more options afforded to them, at least in this current economic state. You know, they got FU money, they got disposable income. So they're eliminating that incrementally, gradually they're eliminating that. That's why there's all this fluctuation in the stock markets. It's all transfers of wealth. And anybody who is to retain it, they're gonna have to cross, if they didn't already, and get down with the program.
Yeah, if they don't eliminate it, then they'll have full control.
Right.
Over their bank accounts.
Right. But they want to eliminate as many of those people in those particular class sets as possible.
Because it works better for their
more solidified their rulership. You have people at a certain distance from
right. The main,
economic power.
like that idea, they got that from Montezori and the Egyptians. Their whole agenda was, look, we can't let these people increase in number, otherwise they'll join on to our enemies and take us over. We can't allow that to happen. So they come in that same spirit with these depopulation. It's easier to control a lesser population. I mean, that's, you know, as simple as it is. But it's unjust and wicked at the same time, you know.
Job 20 and 22.
Oh, the word religion, brothers.
Oh yeah, religion.
Job 20 and 22. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him.
Right. Wicked are the laborers.
Yeah, brother. You got it.
Yeah, wicked are the laborers. Meaning the people that work for Edomite corporations.
Yes.
Or any corporation. But, you know, the laborers are going to destroy Esau.
Other nations?
Yeah, the other nations, yeah. They're going to shoot their missiles on America, on Babylon. All right?
Yeah, they're the ones buying American, well, they're the ones making their money here, importing their goods to this nation,
Yeah.
and they're making money, right?
But they're committing fornication with the whore at the same time.
Using petrodollars. All of them using that petrodollars.
That's right.
too.
That's right.
So they're really all being ran by the Edomites.
That's
Moab,
Yep.
Ishmael, all of them.
But remember, they
Israelites
getting-
got a lot of money,
Yeah.
oil and all that. They still not richer than whoever controls the dollar.
Right.
Rothschilds, whatever name they're going by now, they control the dollar.
Right.
So,
But
the Saudis can never be as rich as
Exactly.
Edomites.
And that's what they're realizing. They're realizing with these deals, these contracts, and these agreements, there's lots of restriction and limitations. So that in other nations, it's like, well, why don't we cut you out? Everybody talk about, well, cut out the middleman. Esau basically is like that middleman around the earth. You know, you got to go through him to get to A and B and C. So that's what they're starting to realize. That not only are they inheriting these economic issues and problems, that they are very limited and restricted as to what they can do with these different agreements.
That's why Esau has relationships with different technology companies and like automotive manufacturers, so they can implement their will at will. So instead of directly controlling them, they indirectly control them or have relationships with them, like news corporations, like Ford, GM. They have strong relationships with them. Like in Volkswagen in Germany during World War II. Volkswagen, I believe, was making all the German vehicles. When cars were first made, Ford was Japan was importing cars from America before they started with their own manufacturers in Japan.
Toyota too.
Yeah.
During they were actually manufactured because that was their answer to Jeep. The Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
It was really built for military.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Toyota, they got the idea from America. So, you know, we can reverse engineer their engines and all that, and their cars. Because the old Japanese cars look just like American cars. Like same kind of style, like big metal and all that. Yep.
Verse 23. When he is about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating.
While he is eating, that's him about to establish his new world order, and him being destroyed by fire from heaven. You can leave that there. Religion?
Want the etymology?
No, just look up religion in the Bible.
Gone. It says.
Then go to the word Hebrew. Read the scripture when you read it from.
It's James 1:26. It says, if any man among you seem to be religious and bridleth not his tongue, but deceiveth his own heart, this man's religion is vain. And then it says the word for religion is Strong's G2356. It says thoraskia. It says religious worship, especially external, that which consists of ceremonies.
That which consists of ceremony. You can't use the same word to describe the same thing. That which consists of ceremonies, worship. Yeah.
Then it says in Strong's, it says ceremonial observance.
Is that the root word?
Oh, no, it's not.
So that's pretty much what it means.
It says a world religion, or yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, it says from Maccabees 4, 5 and 6, or Josephus Antiquities 12, 5, 4. And then it says this word. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it says, i.e. worthy to be embraced by all nations of world religion, piety.
Well, you can say that on both sides. 13, 15 on down. A world religion. Okay, we can get that, Revelation 13.
Worship.
A world religion, which it goes back to service. We look it up in the Hebrew New Testament. I believe Ibad is there. I don't have my Bible with me, but Ibad. Yeah, who's that one?
You said Revelation chapter 13, right?
Yeah. 15.
Verse 15?
15?
Yeah. Revelation chapter 13, verse 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
Right there. So if you don't agree, go along with, identify with, consent to the new system coming in, you're gonna be put to death. Might get put into an internment camp first and then processed. Right? Or you could be killed on the spot. You might be resisting arrest. Or they might say you're resisting arrest, and they might hit you with the burn or whatever. You know, might hit you from a distance. If you try to run, they might have a sniper hit you. But you could be a terrorist. You know, they have the thing. They talk about the tape dude, the claws they use to get rid of him, whatever, from YouTube. He could be like a terrorist or something like that. He's trying to convert young men to think a certain way. There's like a YouTube, like a clause. They can ban you if they think you're trying to incite a riot or I forget the exact clause, but they can get rid of you if they believe that your content is dangerous, pretty much dangerous. I believe is one of the words that was used. So you can tell we protected by Yahweh Shah because they don't take our videos down unless we talk about that drug or a low hat. Pretty much, otherwise they're not gonna mess with us. So, and we say way worse things than that dude Tate be saying. So I don't know. Oh yeah, talk about that. If you say that in a certain respect, you know, they'll kind of mess with you a little bit, you know. But you know, we pretty much can do it, you know, and they kind of leave us alone when talking about the women, whatever.
Or the community. LGBT, you know.
Oh yeah, you can't talk about those guys. Yeah. Alternative community, alternative lifestyle people. Yeah, we can say it in a certain way. They don't really like. We can bring out Leviticus or whatever, or Romans the first chapter.
Yep.
They're not really. As long as we keep it at a certain tone or whatever, we'll get away with it. But if certain people got certain platforms, they'll attack you.
Yep.
Like I just got a video taken down from my personal page from last year. It was when we it was a live stream from a phone, whatever. Yeah, they took that video down. It's suspended me for. I think it said medical misinformation, something like that. So somebody might have said something, or it was just a mistake. Whatever. I'm just suspended for 7 days. I ain't repeal it because I could have. I should.
I actually found it. The religion, James 1:26, is Ibad and Ibada. And then, so I looked. Yeah, I looked it up in the Hebrew. It says, Ibada, service. It says work of any kind, act, bondage, bond servant, effect, labor, ministering, office, service.
Service. So I mean service, worship. So when it comes to us, our religion is to serve Yahweh, Hashem Yahweh Shah. And you have laws, regulations, guidelines, morals. That's the details.
Code of conduct.
The code of conduct. That's the details of our service to Yahweh Shah. That's our religion.
Yep.
Right? Who had a precept? Did I say it again?
You wanted that on.
Were you done with that?
No, you want me to read down, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can leave that there. That's it. You pretty much know it's gonna come back. What you got? It talks about the implant in the 16th verse. All right, charagma. What?
What you wanted that Isaiah 14:29?
Yeah, Palestinian,
Yeah.
whole Palestinian rejoice now.
Yeah, Isaiah 14 verse 29. Rejoice not thou, whole Palestinia.
Rejoice not, because right now the so-called little hat and his brothers are rejoicing because they have power over Judah and Ephraim, the kingdom of Israel. They have power over us. And they have power over the world reserve currency. They said, so the Lord said, "Rejoice not, the whole Palestinian," as referring to the little hats. Right?
because the rod of him that smote thee is broken.
Yeah, meaning Judah, Israel. Yep.
For out of the serpent's root shall come forth a cockatrice, and his fruit shall be a fiery flying serpent.
Yeah, which is the nuclear fire. Fire flying serpent, nuclear fire. Fiery flying serpent. So that back then Isaiah described it as a fiery flying serpent. So he either had a dream or vision. All right. Well, you can have dreams and then you have a vision inside your dream. All right. Now he saw people that were inhabiting the land of Palestine. They looked like Edomites or whatever. He saw that vision, and he saw them rejoicing that they got the land, that they got power and supremacy over the whole earth. Isaiah saw that vision. So Isaiah said, don't rejoice, because he saw the end of the vision. He saw the fiery flying serpent. Right? So the fire come down and destroy their whole land. He saw 34th chapter in the future of his prophecies. So read it again.
Isaiah 14, verse 29. Rejoice not thou, O Palestinia, because the rod of him that smote thee is broken. For out of the serpent's root shall come forth a cockatrice, and his fruit shall be a fiery flying serpent.
Yeah, so what he's going to bear, he's going to bear that fire. His fruit shall be a fiery. What verse was you in?
Isaiah 14, 29.
And read. Go read up where it says a worm is spread under thee. 11. That pomp is brought.
Gone. Isaiah 14, verse 11. Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vials, the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. Verse 12.
The worm is spread under thee, meaning the decay. Ramah, which means gradual destruction or the decaying of something. Ramah. Right, so that's Esau's kingdom. That's everywhere too. Well, mainly America, but that's Esau's kingdom. His kingdoms that he has set up is slowly degrading. Yep. From Canada to Germany to Britain to France to America. They're becoming. They're getting into a worse situation. Winter is coming, and I believe all the gas stopped, right? If I'm not mistaken, did all the gas Nord Stream stop to Europe? I believe I read something that it did, or most of it stopped. So they're gonna have to make their nuclear power plants working overtime, import petroleum, liquid petroleum from America, or each country start making individual deals.
Yeah.
So that would be probably the best thing they should do. That's what they should have been doing. Well, the pipeline is good because, you know, you have a source and everybody can benefit. But you still want to have contracts outside of the main pipeline, just in case something like this happens. And anyway, the only reason they're having trouble with the pipeline is because of fucking America.
Yep.
Germany don't want to shut that shit down because it's flowing right into Germany, Nord Stream 2.
Right, they wanted to extend it right to Ukraine, and America's like, no.
Yeah, well, yeah, I believe, I believe the first pipeline actually goes through. First pipeline, I think it goes near Turkey or Ukraine, something like that. But the second one, yeah, it bypasses Ukraine. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They wanted to run through it.
So they can control it.
Exactly.
So they can control this shit.
They don't want them to have independent.
You guys have, let me add. I'll give you a comment about this. Actually, in doing this is going to cause a crazy amount of inflation too, to to Europe and all that. It says, what if Russia stops gas to Germany? And this is a quick, little excerpt out of this thing. It says a full shutdown, while not their base case, could drive European household energy costs up to about 65%.
Yeah, I did a lesson on that.
Yep,
Yeah,
see?
it was, triple, I think, something like that.
And you got a lesson.
There's some CNBC. Russia has cut off gas supplies to Europe indefinitely.
Here's
Here's what you need to know. Russia claims punitive economic.
Where you from?
CNBC.
CNBC?
Yeah. Russia claims punitive economic sanctions imposed by the West are responsible for the indefinite halt to gas supplies via Europe mains pipeline. It represents the clearest indication yet that the Kremlin is seeking to force Europe to lift economic measures in order for Moscow to turn the tax back on ahead of the winter.
Yes, what does that mean? That means that natural gas, which every restaurant uses, every mall uses. You see the pipes coming out the ground. You see the big ass contraption of pipes and meters and all that. That's to heat the building, and for the restaurants to heat their grills. So all that shit gonna get shut the fuck down, or they have to switch to electric or propane. So the infrastructure is built for gas. All the malls have a gas pipeline running into their mall, into their strip malls, into their neighborhoods. So all the gas is gone, so they gotta do alternative alternative fuel. And this could be one of the reasons why the Europeans grow to hate America.
They say hate the war,
Yeah, that could be one of them. All right? Because America is forcing them to not deal with Russia over the Ukraine. Over the Ukraine problem.
And then Russia says it's
Well, Hungary was rebelling, like, well, we gotta make deals outside of this agreement we got with the European Union and all that shit. We gotta do something different.
And this is Russia's response to the sanctions that U.S. put on Russia.
Hostile countries,
so
yeah.
Russia's like, listen, okay, you want to put sanctions? That's all right. Well, this is what we're gonna do, and we're gonna keep doing it until you take off your sanctions. So now everyone's looking at America like, what the fuck? You're gonna take off the sanctions? Is America gonna be proud and be like, well, no? And then that now hurts Europe and all that, right? Hurts that pipeline. So, this is the card that Russia pulled.
And remember, the Edomites, they don't think like we do. So don't try to put your mind inside and say they try to think like you. They think differently. Yep. So they're hurting their own allies. All right? We look at it like, that's really stupid. Why would you make your allies suffer like that? Well, it's a contract that they signed, and says that they give their power to the beast for a certain amount of time.
1 hour.
Yeah, 1 hour with the beast. So they made that agreement. So the whore, so the beast is the system, the European system and all that. All right.
You got to turn for Ryan Reed.
When you do things under blind rage, you're not thinking clearly.
That's irrational thinking.
Irrational thinking. So you just acting upon impulse. No, do this. Do it. Hey, if you don't listen to what we tell you, we're going to sanction you. We're going to do this thing. So they're just acting out, Well, remember it said that they were going to rage, so. Yeah, they're going to come down with great wrath. So they know that they have a short amount of time. So, they're not doing any forward thinking. They're just acting upon impulse and pride.
When you stand on somebody or sit on somebody, that means you have power over them. Like a rider sits on a horse. The rider has power over the horse.
Right, be the reins.
Yeah, reins, yep. Direction, commandments, and all that. Yeah, so America said the whore sits on the waters, I believe it says. Yep. And the reigns over the kings of the earth, the whore. So the Babylon America directly, indirectly controls the European community, the European EU. This is why they can tell the European nations what the fuck to do, bully them around, like, you gotta cut Russia off. And it's, when they say they bite the nose, bite the face, something like that. That's the analogy. That's what they're doing. They all supposed to be one body, but you let your allies suffer. So that could generate a lot of hatred. I mean, well, it is already by default. It's not like a theory or a guess. But on what scale, that's the hypothesis. And when, and the timetable. Are they gonna? Because it's really a matter of time. But right now, they're angering these different European communities, the beast.
They say cut off the nose and spike the face.
Cut off the nose and spike the face.
Revelation 17, verse 12. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast.
And the beast is the European community, the European powers. They have the economic community. Right? And who controls that? America controls it. They have their own charter and all that shit. So who's a major influence on what they do? America controls them here and there. It nudges them a little to the left, nudges them a little to the right. and then you got NATO in there, which you can't have NATO troops in a country that's not a part of NATO. That's kind of fucking stupid. I believe there's, look up and see if they're military, a NATO base in Ukraine, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody else looked it up. You finished reading what you were reading. You were reading out of Revelation?
Yeah.
Read out of Revelation. See if there's a NATO base in Ukraine.
Verse 13. These have one mind and shall give power. Salakia. These have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. Verse 14. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is the Lord of lords.
Now, so the beast in its completion is NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and the European powers. So if it's not a part of the NATO, then you may be a part of the European powers.
Which a lot of the European, well, those nations that are part of the European Union are
NATO.
also a part of NATO.
It's just, there's crosses mainly between the two nations, between the two organizations. But just in case there's like a one, just in case there's a 1 or 2 or 5, you can just go to the European Union, and if you can't find them in the European Union, then you'll find them in NATO.
You know, that's all headed by Edomites. Now, NATO is headed by the Edomite here in America.
Yes, there's the blurriness.
Right.
See? So that there are specific, but then they come together.
Exactly.
So that's why we say NATO is
the beast. Yep. That's right.
America. All right. Continue.
Yeah.
We might bring some out.
Was that no?
Look at the base.
Yeah.
The base.
Verse 14. These shall make war with the Lamb. The Lamb.
Map, NATO bases, whatever.
These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is the Lord of lords and the King of kings, and they that are with him are called chosen and faithful.
Yeah, that's what Ezra speaks about, the blast of fire, nothing left but smell of smoke. So those European powers, America, the world's armies are going to come together and fight the Lord, and they're going to be totally erased. Like the earth when it fills the fire, or like burning like flies or whatever, or burning gnats, they just disintegrate, like burning gnat, they turn to dust or whatever. It's unrecognizable, it disappears, burn them. Ashes, gray smoke. All right. What precepts we got? In the meantime, we find a NATO,
I just
list of NATO bases.
real quick to prove that the Lamb is our Lord. For brothers who want to know the link, this is the book of John, chapter 1, verse 29. It says, "The next day John seeth Yahushua coming unto him, and saith, Behold, the Lamb of the Most High, which taketh away the sin of the world." Of course, we know that the context of the word world there is the Israelites. Okay, you can read about that. That's right.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Take away the sin of the world. Because the sins of that image and the beast, they're not going to be taken away. They're going to be destroyed. It's already prophesied that they're going to be destroyed. We can't talk about universal salvation.
Right. This is Isaiah 45 and 17, bringing the point full circle, actually. "But Israel shall be saved in the Lord with an everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed, nor confounded world without end."
Israel is the world. I will.
Right. Because when you go into it, go to the book of 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter, it explicitly tells you that Esau was going to be the end of the world, but that Jacob was going to be the beginning of it that followed. So Esau is the end of this age. What age? The age of wicked rule, a wicked dominion. But that Jacob was going to come in his rightful stead as the next heir to the earth, next ruler, all right? Really beginning with Yahushua, according to the will of the Heavenly Father. But it's the Israelites that are the next to rule, and that's that last final rulership of the kingdom. You know, so we are that world or age without end. That is only applicable to the Israelites, and it's confirmed in many scriptures. So, you know, that reinforcement is 2nd Ezra 6th chapter, man. It tells you that Esau is the end of the world. So it can't possibly be talking about the whole circumference of the world itself. No, it's talking about the Israelites. Okay? They're going to be risen up they're going to take their rightful place, all right, as the leaders, okay? Because all of our men are going to be in the status of a king, but you are going to have a hierarchy, all right? Yeah, but that's the age without end. The Israelites rule, reign, power. Once Yahushua is officially sent forth at the command of the Heavenly Father Yahweh to subdue all these dominions, okay? The dominion of Esau, the dominion of the other nations, okay? And their joint rulerships underneath this Edomite. They're all going to be subdued and put out forevermore.
Got a little article on NATO. It's just from the militarybases.com. It says U.S. military presence, European Union, and NATO membership status. Ukraine is not currently a NATO member. However, Ukraine is recognized by NATO as an aspiring member, along with Georgia, Bosnia, and Herzegovina. So it's not a member right now.
But does it have a base?
Yeah, and then I sent I sent something in the article. I mean, in the group chat. It says, U.S. creating NATO bases in Ukraine under guides or training centers.
Yeah, they'll train.
I don't know.
So they have NATO training centers.
Yeah, they'll train the Ukrainian troops.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it says Belarusian president.
And they sending that money over.
Yeah, so they have training centers for NATO in Ukraine.
Yeah.
So it makes them a de facto NATO member.
Right, there's no way they're sending them billions of dollars and not have invested interests and trying to secure positioning
and there was
in that region.
No NATO bases before this whole strike went on, because I think that's like the whole war went on. Ukraine possibly being a member of NATO. It says the claim that a NATO military base was being built in Ukraine in 2021 is without evidence. So there was a claim that was NATO facility was being built, or NATO military base was being built, but there wasn't. But you can, by his article right there, it said that there was a NATO bases being built in the guise of training facilities. So they're there, but. And I think I read an article that's like,
splitting hairs on training base and military base.
Yeah, and then there was an article where there's like 40,000 now. There's 40,000 NATO troops in Ukraine. So they're there now. The NATO presence is definitely there now in Ukraine.
That's why Russia don't want them there.
Yeah, and they're not an official. They're not a member.
Yep.
So that proves so. So if that's those things are happening, then yeah, I can see why that's one of the reasons that Russia was justified in doing that. What's the other reason? Yeah, get over to him. Yeah, so that's one of the reasons why Russia was justified in running into Ukraine, because that was encroaching on their borders, in which they don't agree to.
Eastern expansion.
Their Eastern expansion, because of NATO activity in Ukraine. Amongst that, I heard about the laboratories too, chemical weapons labs, or biological, making diseases or whatever to attack Russia or whoever they wanted to. So there's a lot of reasons they, invaded Ukraine. But those are just two. NATO training and those laboratories and the Donbass. I believe their people were attacked in the Donbass, Crimea, those areas or whatever, and they asked for help. So all that together, yeah, they decided to go in. But yeah, Ukraine is not an official member, but they are the de facto member because of what they supply to NATO.
Yep.
Right? So you might as well say they're part of NATO.
Yep. Exactly.
So it was given that they should give their power to the beast for a certain time period. Right? But then it says like that beast is going to hate the whore. Read that. Is that at 18? 17?
Hey, whenever y'all done reading that, I do got something I'd like to read.
All right, this all I got is just this last one, and then I'm through.
I'm gonna jump to 16.
You want 18?
17.
Chapter 17?
Yeah.
17, 18.
Revelation 17, verse 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire.
Yeah, so eventually what the European powers are going to hate the whore, America, and they're going to destroy America with their nuclear arsenal. That's how that breaks down.
This is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 5. It says, yeah, also because he transgresseth by wine, you know, his philosophy, his policies, right? That's how he's transgressing. He's overstepping his limits, okay? It says, and he's riling up the international community. You know, a lot of things that he does, you know, he does hypocritically. He'll put these standards out there. They'll have international law, right? You got international law, but he'll break that law. And he's never held accountable, right? And these nations are seeing that amongst, again, what we explained earlier with these different economic deals. You know, a lot of these minor nations are getting the lower end. So, as a direct result of that, they're discontinuing from using the petrodollar, all right? Most of the nations, if not, well, yeah, most of the nations at this point, they're all calling for a new world reserve currency. They don't want to deal with the dollar. Remember, China's response to that was the petro-yuan. But from the petro-yuan, they said, well, we're going to do the digital yuan. Because really what we're seeing is a whole global economic reset, brothers. That's why you're starting to see articles and news come out of China about the economic straits that they're in. Now, they're supposed to have one of the largest economies, right? But they talking about all this debt that China has now. You never used to hear about China having debt. These European nations holding on all this debt because they're getting ready to bring in that new system globally. So, you know, you got this resource being cut off from this nation. You got this level of inflation hitting this country. So, because they're getting ready to reset everything, brothers. All right? But this is how he's transgressing. He is a proud man, neither keep it at home. Right. Y'all brothers brought that up about him being in Ukraine under the guise of training. Okay?
Yeah, most of them weapons that's being supplied, remember that money is going to them soldiers in Ukraine.
Right, and if you ain't, Slovakia brother, but you ain't getting billions of dollars from the U.S. if you ain't taking orders from the U.S. Or you being influenced by them.
That guy Jimmy Dore goes into it.
Yeah. Yep. It says, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied.
Swift.
But gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Through economic policy, influence, okay? These different military strongholds, right? They join them onto him, all right? His policy, his economics. It says, shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him? As a matter of fact, since y'all were bringing it up, Russia gave a direct response to the United States about the Ukraine being a NATO member. They said they weren't they're not going to let that slide. If I'm not mistaken, there was an article put out that they said they would act militarily as a response to that. So that's a taunting proverb. Like, no, you ain't.
Well, that's considered an act of war.
Right, exactly. It says in a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, and how long to him that ladeth himself with thick clay, meaning debts. Okay. It says, shall they not rise up suddenly, that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them, because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein. So, I mean, that's pretty much the point. When you further read, I mean, the response is ultimately going to be that nuclear fire, that world war. All right, that's what it's all culminating to. All the violence, all the bloodshed, all the atrocities that you've committed against these different nations. All right, and ultimately, the Most High is going to do it for his name's sake and for the sake of his people, because the Lord is going to be the one who avenges his elect. But you are causing the whole world to be at a state of unease and no peace. Right? You've taken peace from the earth.
The stress of the nations.
Right. So, as you continue onward with that mentality and pursue, these different nations militarily, economically, putting strain on them, putting in this these measures to globally reset everything, it's all leading up to World War III, which is the ultimate determination for you Edomites and those that are not with the program of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, the heathen nations. See, Russia, they're Edomites too. So when this thing goes down, they're going to be put in subjection through those missiles as well. It's going to be a nuclear exchange. But it's all, I'm going to use one of other Apostle Gabar's words, it's all at the behest of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, meaning at the command or the order of. Right? So the Most High is sanctioning these nations all, gathering together in the Middle East for the Lord's indignation, brother. So that's all I wanted to read on that. You know. Whoa, 3. Okay. Oh.
Whoa.
Right. Coming quickly.
Second one.
Right. That second woe. Behold, the third woe coming quickly. Go ahead.
This is about, you know, all the mirth and stuff coming to an end, pretty much, you know, in these end times, you know what I'm saying? It's Isaiah 24 and 8. It says, the mirth of the tambourines ceased, the noise of them that rejoice ended, the joy of the harp ceased. They shall not drink wine with a song. Strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it. The city of confusion is broken down. Every house is shut up, that no man may come in. There's a crying for wine in the streets.
Confusion. Right? Now, the word Babylon, okay, which we know America is known as the Mystery Babylon the Great, all right, also known as the daughter of Babylon. So the word Babylon goes back to the word Babylon, which means confusion. So we know it's talking about America, okay, because this is that land of confusion.
Order.
Right? No. Right. Well, lack of order in terms of the scriptures, in terms of the law, statutes, and commandments of the Heavenly Father. Right? This is why this man is known as the man of sin. Also, the son of perdition. All right. Anywhere he goes, he leaves a trail of destruction. Okay. He's known as the wicked. All right. Because everywhere he goes, he corrupts the land. He corrupts the people. All right. Go ahead. City of confusion shall be broken up. Right. So there's an end to America and its rule and influence over the earth, over the Israelites, over the other nations. Go ahead.
Verse 11. There's a crying for wine in the streets.
Right. The wine in this case is representative of having understanding of what's going on. Because among these people, it's going to happen what appears to be sudden. But see, they weren't paying attention to the intimate details of prophecy. They were fanning the hand as the word was going out. They were doing whatever they wanted to do. But in the midst of all that, prophecy was going down, man. See, it's like health. You know, one day you're sitting around and all of a sudden you have a heart attack. That wasn't spontaneous. It was a series of bad decisions that led to that moment that culminated into a heart attack. Well, similar to prophecy, prophecy's been going out, constantly being fulfilled. But to these people, since they're not paying it no mind, they don't got the spirit or mind of Hamashiach, they're not paying attention to it. Even though it's all around them. It's being manifested all day long. And at the mouth of the prophets, it's being told to you. Right? So read that again. They're going to be crying for wine in the streets. Oh my God, how could this happen? What's going on? Why are we... You know, why is it strain on the economy? Why is it all these blackouts? What's going on? Why aren't the politicians, the leaders, why aren't they doing something about this? Because they're not concerned about doing anything about it. Yeah. All right? A lot of them understand that this place is going to be destroyed, right? So they're moving their money into offshore accounts in the different markets. They already got where they're going to go in terms of when this thing goes down, whether it's in a bunker, out of space. They got all these plans, right? To where they're going to retreat to when all of this is going on. So they're not worried about the people. All right? And then these lower level governments, they're going to be prey for the rest of these people. Right? Because it says that the power shall stand in there. When you go into the book of 2nd Ezra, right? 15, 16, it tells you that the people are going to respond and they're going to draw swords and they're going to take up against their government. And that the power of it shall stand in their hand. But go ahead.
And it's funny that you're saying that. There's a trend on TikTok right now where everybody's talking about they don't defend their government.
Right.
or whatever because of the queen died.
Oh, see, that's the scriptures talk about the insurrection. All right. Now, the word insurrection means to incite rebellious speech. So they're going to be an insurrection against you, your police, your local governments, your politicians, your mayors, your senators, right?
Yeah, I pretty much heard that the other day at my job. The one guy, he pretty much said that, a lot of the things that America does these times go against the Constitution, like illegal.
Was he Edomite?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
He is. He looked like Ben Franklin too.
Yeah. And the Edomites be on it, man.
He's like, and he's old too. The
Right.
dude's like 68. I didn't even know. I'm like, oh shoot. And he's like, they can't do a lot of these things because, like, a lot of these agendas, like Black Lives Matter, a lot of these, as they call it, democratic moves. He's against. He's a
Right.
pro-Trump, guy. He's a
Right.
he like constitutionalist
Right.
and stuff. So.
Oh yeah, Salaki, brother.
Yeah.
Real quick. That's why in Chicago, they're basically taking away.
Oh, that law.
Oh, the Illinois law thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Brother can get into it on their own time, but yeah, you don't need to post bail no more. Second degree murder, they're basically gonna book you, but let you go,
Same
run
thing.
into the system, let
That
you go.
city
Kidnapping.
goes.
Yeah, the purge. But I just wanted to add on to that. See, but this is why these Edomites are like, yo,
He going.
they preparing, they,
He don't want that. Like
they understand what that means.
He mentioned Fourth Amendment
Right.
and that Second Amendment,
Right. That's it.
and then what else he had mentioned? He said that they should bring back stop and frisk. That's why in Philadelphia, that's why a lot of this gun violence is up and stuff like that because they don't have the stop and frisk.
Right.
That's what he says.
See, a lot of you mentioned he's a Trump supporter. A lot of
Yeah.
people overlook the fact that Trump said take the guns first, due process later.
Yeah, see. So
That was something he said.
his own, person, his own demigod said that. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Hey, you're gonna end up seeing these people.
Right.
gonna-
Cult of personality.
Yeah.
So they make exceptions
Yeah,
for the people that they are inclined to listen to because they
Yeah.
like them.
Yep. He says 2024, we're gonna take all these such and such amount of seats. Yeah,
Yeah. Remember that's the sick game that is played.
yeah. That red and blue.
Right. Two wings of the same bird.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Doc. Finish that up.
All right, this is Isaiah 24:11.
Oh
says
yeah,
there-
yeah. Well, the brother, I'm not sure. Did you have another point?
No.
Oh yeah, it's like yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, bro.
All right.
Read it one last time where you just left off.
All right,
Reiterate the last thing you just read. Read it.
Isaiah 24:10, it says, the city of confusion is broken down, every house is shut up, that no man may come in. There's a crying for wine in the streets, all joy is darkened, the mirth of the land is gone.
Right, so we seen that prophecy basically come to pass right before our very eyes. All right, the joy and the mirth has been darkened. People sense it in the air that we're moving into a different time period. One of bloodshed, one of crime.
Pizza. Can't buy no pizza.
If people can't get access to certain goods, then even if you can, you don't want to really be outside because you're not trying to get hit by no stray bullet or some random act, what they refer to as random acts of violence, right? Like in the city of Philadelphia,
Carjack you.
every single day, people are getting hit by strays, all right, or something has happened, some act of violence has happened, and that's throughout all the major cities in the United States. As a matter of fact, out in Canada, they had that mass stabbing.
Oh,
Canada.
Mass stabbing, 15 or some odd people stabbed.
You just standing there watching them run at you.
That's actually a problem out there. And a lot of knife attacks happen. They don't really got laws on guns like we do here that protect your right to defend yourself. But that's what's happening, man. You're seeing all joy being taken away. The things that once did it, where you'd be able to get your peace of mind, turn on the television and forget your sorrow and drown it out with whatever different forms of escapism that exist. It's just not cutting it no more. So people are fed up, tired, and all of that. So inevitably, they're gonna be destroyed. That's the ultimate thing that's gonna happen. All right, about to get deadly out here. That's why it says that As a matter of fact, we just get that 2nd Ezra 16 and go to the part of the verse where it says, for the lack of bread, right? Men shall be invading one another. We can end it on that. Because that's the reality that's coming to America. All right? And then if Europe can't find a solution
For that energy crisis.
that's going to be the
This
same
fall,
thing.
they
That's
said
going to
over.
happen down there. People are going to be fighting each other
They said
for
civil unrest.
survival.
Yep.
So
That's projected.
Yeah, and that's America too. A lot of people, they rely, upon technology
Right.
as their entertainment. What happens when, the electricity is cut off?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Can't
People
pay
ain't
for
worrying about the
internet.
violence, but once, the electricity to the house is cut off, that's the next level.
All right.
Right, so let's go to the point, Baba Kashah, for the lack of bread.
Yeah.
You got it?
Yeah, this is 2nd Esdras 15, verse 19.
Okay, 15, Salaki. Go
It
ahead.
says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation.
And for great tribulation, again, that joy being darkened. Tribulation meaning troubled times. And that's what people are starting to see. Troubled times, right? My man Jeremiah, he does daily reports about the amount of Americans who cannot pay rent, who cannot pay their mortgage, who are behind on this bill, that bill, struggling, surviving on credit, more loans, payday loans, all of these things just to stay afloat, working 1, 2, 3 jobs even.
Cards. Yeah.
Right, going visiting lots, right, and saying, look, interviewing the people, say how much traffic do you have coming through here, and they'll give their accounts. It's a lot less, People ain't really buying no more because they can't afford these things.
Yeah.
They're
That's
struggling
that
just to,
recession.
exactly. They're struggling just to afford the bare necessities.
The decline
So it's
of
all gonna
economic growth.
degrade, or decline into survival of the fittest. Every man for themselves, not regarding one another. Love waxing cold to the fullest. All right? And those are all prophecies that are gonna lead into that major event, which will ultimately be World War III. And Yahweh Shai will come redeem his elect from off the four corners of the earth and destroy the wicked, man. By the wicked, I mean Esau, the other nations, and 2/3. And rightfully so. So I don't got any more than that. We can end it right there. You said you got something real quick? All right, real
Yeah.
quick, go ahead.
It says Luke 21:34, and take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting, drunkenness, and cares of this life.
Right, so we always got to be on our watch, okay? You can't let the things of America, okay, overrun you, all right? Because the flesh has a bad habit of wanting to remain in a state of comfort. You have to constantly fight that demon. Fight that demon of laziness. Fight that demon of unproductivity, all right? Fight that demon of complacency, because at the end of the day, the real spirit that we're supposed to be in is pursuing the 2 Peter, the 3rd chapter. Hasting for the coming of the day of our Lord, which cometh as a thief in the night. Okay? So we got to make haste for the coming of our Savior, man. Our salvation is nearer than when we believe. As a matter of fact, we in the year of the turn up. And things are going to continue to progress from here on out, man. Violence, war, trouble, famine, pestilence, all types of different plagues. Go ahead.
And cares of this life.
You shouldn't have cares for this life. Very minimal, Brothers got to be in a state and prepared to lose it all. At this point in juncture, yeah, certain opportunities are going to come along the way, but in reality, man, we got to be in a mindset that we're going to lose it all for Yahweh Shai. You should really be looking to, what's the word I want to use? You should be looking to lose things rather than gain, In all reality, living minimally, right? You should adopt the mindset of living minimally.
Daily bread.
Don't worry about the shit that you don't got right now. Focus on Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai, the brotherhood, and take care of your financial and personal affairs and everything else. Don't worry about it. All right? Continue to invest yourself spiritually and less carnally. All right? And focus on the prize. Focus on the main objective, which is enduring. The Lord's will obtain that salvation from on high. All right? Via Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai. So with that, We're going to give all honor, glory, and praise unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Double honors unto our apostles and elders of the great millstone. Shalom to the hopeful elect scattered abroad, the four winds of the earth. All right, and Ababa Ball. Kwam Yashal.